Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of the Neon Crew podcast. I am Kyle.
Hey, and this is Mac.
Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We got a lot of good feedback from the first episode, so that's exciting. I like hearing that. I'm sure, Mac, you had some good feedback too.
No, I did. Yeah, that was like a no, yes. So
a Michigan no, yes.
Yeah, you know how it goes. It's weird when you text that on your phone.
Yeah.
Hey, were you able to make it? Like, no, yeah, I'm there.
You have to get rid of all sense of dialect when you text.
It's weird. I know that we're like our own. I don't want to say our own country. Texas is its own country.
Yeah, Texas, California,
own tribe,
New York. Those are like the trifecta countries that are not countries.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was appreciate the shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you listening. You know, obviously this is something that we just got into. So if you are listening, thank you. And if this is your first time, also thank you. And appreciate all of you, to those listening and not listening that will listen.
Yes. Especially those not listening yet. Keyword being yet, because we'll get there. So we're available on YouTube and Spotify. Those are the two major platforms. There are a couple other websites that we got approved to be put on, but I have to figure out some sort of like in and outs of that still.
Is one of them Apple Podcasts?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Not yet? Okay.
No.
We got to get at least to 200 followers. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, if you guys, have your friends tell their friends who tell their family.
We reached 100 followers on Facebook, so that's exciting. We have 8 whopping subscribers on YouTube.
Ooh.
And I think we have 20-something plays on Spotify, if I'm remembering right. It could be a little more than that because it's been a few days since I checked.
Yep, 17 were mine with the stop, start, and start over.
Yeah. I'm sure 10 of those were mine, just like listening for quality purposes.
Juice's numbers, right? Juking the stats, as they say in The Wire.
Yeah. Which, I mean, maybe we'll talk about that one day. I have to see it still. Yeah, sure, we'll talk about Breaking Bad.
Oh, yeah. No, there's a list. Don't worry, we got the hit list out.
We might have to dedicate Breaking Bad to, like, 2 episodes. So, like, one episode we could talk about, like, seasons 1, 2, and 3. And then the next one we could talk about 4, 5A, and then 5B, since it's, like, split up.
Yeah.
But before we get started, I just wanted to give a couple shout-outs to a few people who may or may not have helped us along the way. So I wanted to give one shout-out to my friend Gideon, who composed the music for us to use in this podcast, the intro music and outro music, which is the same track, but it's basically just split up.
I had a friend that told me that she appreciated it. She liked it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know how much she listened to the actual podcast, but long enough to hear the intro song.
That's great.
So that was very. She was like, I really liked it. It had a nice vibe to it. And I was like, thanks.
I had a little bit of a hand in helping him because we spent a day over at his house just making the song, just kind of figuring out what kind of vibe we wanted to go with. And I told him I wanted to make it sort of kind of like a synthy sort of, almost like retro, like late night kind of relaxing sort of tune. And I think we definitely hit it. And the intro is really good. I really like the outro theme because it adds that sort of extra punch, and it's almost like a crescendo into something after listening to you and me talk for about 2 hours straight.
Yeah, and I was gonna say too, that's the one thing that people are like, hey, I'm like, well, you know me, I like to talk. Like, that's what I do.
I like to chat too, especially with a close friend of mine.
Yeah. So if you guys,
hopefully I'll get him on the podcast one day.
Yeah. If you've made it this far, all right, don't feel bad if you don't listen to it for the whole time. You can tune in, tune out, or you can just say I'm done with it, however it goes.
Absolutely. I've had someone tell me the first episode that came out, they listened to our drive discussion, but they had to stop at our Only God Forgives discussion because he hadn't seen that movie yet.
Yeah.
So absolutely check out movies that you haven't seen yet that we talk about. Come back to us when you can, and we'll welcome you with open arms and warm kisses from Max specifically.
And that's $5 if you want tongue.
Yeah,
we got to make money somehow.
Yeah, I mean, don't spread that around too much because prostitution is still illegal in the U.S.
No, I mean it's like porn. I know it when I see it. It's prostitution, right?
Yeah, but the difference is I'm not going to go to jail if I, what you walked in on me watching today. Anyway, I want to give a second shout out to my friend Lauren, who helped design the logo that we've been using for all of our social media and our platforms and everything. Whenever you see us somewhere, you see something that she put together, and it's very, very well put together. And so I just want to give a shout out to her. And also, I talked to her this past week about hopefully setting up a website.
That'd be awesome.
So soon is the goal to be that we will set that up. That sentence was very cobbled together.
We'll start a GoFundMe so we can pay for the 2 shout-outs we just gave.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we're well on our way. So I just wanted to give a few shout-outs to a couple of my good friends who helped me out with that. They totally did not have to, but they looked upon this sad boy that I am and said, you know what, I'm feeling charitable. I can help him out.
Yeah.
What am I going to lose from it?
Reputation, character.
Yeah, I mean,
things that are, intangible qualities of a person. You're associated with that person.
Let's not worry about it. And I also, before we really get into it, I wanted to start with a couple of small corrections for episode 1.
Yeah.
I guess not really corrections for one of them, just kind of being more elaborate on something we talked about.
Words like egregious come to mind?
No.
Okay.
Not egregious, just something that I feel like I have to touch on a little bit more.
Right.
So remember the movie that we were talking about with Albert Brooks where he's in heaven, basically?
Oh, my God. I looked it up again, too, and I still don't remember the name.
Yeah. I was going to mention the name because I don't think we mentioned it the last episode.
No. I walked all over it and never gave it a name. I threw something out there.
You used it and then just threw it in the trash, didn't even look at it.
I hate to say it's a good movie. I liked it. I mean, it's just,
It's pretty good.
I got a Monday morning quarterback memory. That's how I am at this age. And I'm still young, so God knows where it's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
All-timers, here we go.
So, yeah, I just wanted to mention the name, and then now we'll move on. I didn't mention the name.
What is it?
It's called Defending Your Life. It's called Defending Your Life, and it was directed and written by Albert Brooks, too. So he's a powerhouse, I guess, of filmmaking. Because it's a very quality movie, and he also stars in it, writes it, directs it, got Meryl Streep to be in it, and it's a pretty good, I would say, fantasy comedy.
Yeah. We got to get Albert Brooks' Twitter handle, too, so we can have the fans shout out at him.
Yeah. All 7 of you. No, wait, 8 of you. There's 8 subscribers. I know. No, 7. One of them is me. One of them is my other account.
As long as you don't diss the podcast on there.
No. I'll make sure to tell him that he shouldn't do that. Him being me. So I just wanted to do that real quick, and also one more. You and I both got the name of that song in Drive incorrect.
Under Your Spell?
No, not that one. The College and Electric Youth one. You said Real American Hero.
Yeah.
And I said Real Human Being.
Okay.
Neither of those are right.
Were they mixed together?
It's a mishmash. So the real title of that song by College and Electric Youth is Real Hero.
Oh, come on.
You were a little bit closer. You just inserted the word American in there. You were feeling extra patriotic, I guess.
On the cusp of 9/11.
Yeah. Which was yesterday.
Yeah, so
we won't talk about that too much. We don't want to bum people out, I guess. But yeah, you were closer. I said Real Human Being, which is an actual lyric in the song.
Yeah.
So we were both close in a way. We just missed the exit a little bit.
Fondling in the dark.
Yeah, but hey, we got it. We grasped it.
We're there now.
And I just wanted to make those observations real quick before we actually get into it.
Cool.
So yeah,
here we are.
Thank you for letting me do that real quick.
Yeah. So what's new? What do you got? Anything happen? Good weekend?
Yeah, very good weekend. I hung out with some friends. We rented an Airbnb by by the lake, had some fun water shenanigans, had some good fire shenanigans. So that was cool.
Fire shenanigans.
Mostly just like cooking stuff over it. And
Oh.
yeah.
All right. I was about to say, like, little kids have fire shenanigans.
Yeah. No.
Not like saying you're a little kid, but, like, shenanigans I don't think has, like, a great connotation.
It doesn't. I mean, maybe that's... I don't know. That might be a generational thing, I feel like. Because
Yeah.
maybe you think shenanigans and you think, like, no good deeds.
Yes.
Something
when
like
you say
that.
shenanigans, I immediately think of an old man with a broom.
Yeah.
Like get off my porch.
Yeah. I
Like,
can't be
hey.
having these shenanigans in my city.
Yeah. Like lighting, a bag of poo on fire is like kind of a shenanigan.
Like I'm picturing sort of a Charles Dickinson setting where like I can't have these shenanigans on my street corner
Yeah.
where I sell my fresh produce.
That's exactly. All
Mhm.
right. So I mean,
Whereas I say shenanigans, I usually mean good and well-meaning fun between friends.
okay. It works. I mean,
with
yeah.
maybe like a hint of mischievousness.
Sure.
But nothing too overly.
Yeah, you guys are little imps over there.
Yeah. I don't think I've been called an imp ever. But no, that was good. That was my weekend, and then basically just working, seeing how the first podcast has been performing.
Yeah.
Hearing people's feedback on it, so that's been nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
What about you?
Oh, yeah, it's a couple activities here and there. Football game Friday that didn't go the way that we wanted it to, so had to watch some film today with guys and get some young men squared away.
Yeah. Get them disciplined.
Yeah.
Can't have any field shenanigans out there.
It was a lot more than that. I mean, they wiped. It was.
They wiped.
It was a tough game. I'll just say that. But then, last night. Well, it happens. It's football.
Do you want to give some people context as to what you do and?
Oh, you mean like
outside of this podcast?
Sure. No, I work for like a I guess I'm a manager. I'm a field manager. I got a fleet of guys that I oversee, and then on the side I do football. So I coach high school football. So it's nice. I get to work with the young men, kind of groom them, get them ready, prepared, kind of show them accountability, responsibility, things like that. Big words that you throw around when you want people to shut up.
Mm-hmm.
So you drop that on a 15-year-old, they won't talk to you for like 5 minutes. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Get a guy tell you about his weekend, and you're like, I'm done with Larry. Larry, do you think you're really being accountable? Make them think about that.
Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. Drop a character. Like, it's low character.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you'll get guys questioning themselves. So, and then I had a wedding last night. And a lot of my friends that were there, they've heard this. They were the ones giving me some feedback, so that was good. Not dropping names, but, you guys keep up the work with pushing us in the right direction. We appreciate it. And then, football's back, NFL, and there's like, they got, I'm not going to do any plugs or anything like that, but there are some sites that you can, wager money on.
Really?
Oh, yeah. So I'm not big into it. So I'll throw like $15 down here and there. But today I had a bet where I threw down, I think it was $20 to win like 12 grand.
Okay.
Missed it by one.
That hurts.
Pardon the pun, the guy that didn't do it got hurt. So I don't know if it's going to a push because the guy didn't play the whole game or what. I guess I'm waiting on it. It's like a lot of money out there. I knew that they'd appreciate that because they're of the same variety. Get a little firework and candy money. Might as well have some fun.
Now is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this sort of endeavor, does it have a name? I think that name might be called fantasy football, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big one. Well, so that happened today. So that's currently going on. It was part of the Lions 49ers game. Not directly related to film, but
Well, I think it's important for our audience to sort of get a notion of the differences between you and I.
You like how I go in from dropping like accountability, responsibility, character into like immediately like
talking about gambling.
I'm gambling. Yeah, I gambled. I bet. Now, but I'm telling you, it's not like, guys that are like, if you throw out like $400, I'm gonna look at you and be like, hey,
That's a little much.
Yeah, you take, because they got all these promos and stuff. So I'll hop in like every like other week or something like that. If I'm like, let's just see what happens, because I know they're gonna give me $50, and then once it's gone, it's like, well, wait till the next paycheck to throw like $15 down or something. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's almost like a scratch off.
Yeah.
I guess I'll pull tabs. So.
Just don't buy too many scratch offs at once.
Oh yeah, no, trust me. So yeah, that happened today. That was the 49ers and the Lions game. So that was that. And then before I came over here, I had a buddy that's a Browns fan. So that's why, I'll be over in like 5 minutes, turn into 15 minutes. The Browns were marching, so he couldn't move his car. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you get invested into something like that.
Yeah. Fandom.
Fandom, yes.
I hope we generate some fandom.
Yeah,
maybe
hopefully. we'll get the what should the name of our fandom be? What should we call them? Like the crew? Should we call our audience the crew?
Groupies. No,
I feel like that one's taken.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I really don't know yet. We got
I feel like it's got to be more creative than crew.
How about, we'll think on this. Hey, actually, what we can do is, to the 7 subscribers we have, throw out some names.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, I'd like to hear some feedback and then if it's just like a big, F you, probably won't use it, but we'll understand, and I appreciate the feedback.
Yeah, well, we will respect the fact that you got back to us at all.
That's how I am.
Mm-hmm.
Negative, positive, as long as you're engaged.
I would rather be insulted than be ghosted.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't tell me how many times I've said that to chicks.
At least it lets me know that you care enough about me to interact with me in some way.
Well, I mean, for me, it's like, I got a decision to make here. And if you're just kind of like sitting out there, you're making me make the decision, which I got great leadership qualities, so I'll make the decision. But, it's kind of like hey, just be courteous, Even if there's no emotional attachment whatsoever, the best thing you can do is just be like, it's not going to work out. It's like,
yeah,
thank you.
Just let us know, please. Yeah. Whether you're on listening to the podcast or you are a potential romantic interest, just please let us know. But no, going back to an earlier point, I would say it's important for people to kind of gauge our personalities and how we are similar or different. Like, you are very much into sports, and I will maybe watch the Super Bowl, and that's it.
Yeah.
The only football games I've ever been to are like the high school like homecoming games or something along those lines, and that's only been like 3 times. I'm not very much into sports. You are very much into sports, I would say.
Yeah. I just got grilled on the 1998 NFL draft.
I'm sorry?
That might have been like a whole lot of jargon to you just now.
I mean, I don't know about a whole lot. There was jargon there, for sure.
To say. Just a couple letters that were strung together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you might as well just been speaking Portuguese to me.
So no, I am into sports. I have this weird retention. I always tell people, like, I wish I could go back to maybe 13-year-old Mac and just be like, you're going to fill up your RAM with so much useless shit. Please stop remembering who the first pick was in the 1995 NFL draft and pay attention to calculus. Like, your computer only can store so much. And, like, if a lot of it's spamware, like, it's over.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I think and I think the guys that did it right, like Einstein and Franklin, like, not to say that they were able to avoid the clutter. They might have had like an extra 8 gigs. I don't know. So,
yeah. I mean, they probably had clutter, but they was cluttered with things that advanced humanity, advanced science in some sort of way. When you say that,
it makes it sound like I just like sad.
Not to say that yours is unimportant.
Right. Like that thing.
We all have different clutters.
Your shelf up there that's collecting dust with that weird old picture. Franklin's that's collecting dust with the weird old picture actually turned into like freaking electricity.
Yeah.
Like yours turned into, talking about the 2001 playoffs. So no, it's all good. I mean, I like it. It's actually some of the guys talking to about the podcast, they said that they could actually like relate a little bit, to some of the stuff I'm talking about, because I think, my mind works more so in line with, I guess, people that kind of have some of that clutter going on.
Okay.
So that's how I like it. If not, if I just insulted you, I'm sorry.
No. I'm never insulted, mostly because I never understand. But I like the fact that you're doing this with me and that you have such a unique viewpoint when it comes to things that I wouldn't say have no interest, because there's some interest there. I can appreciate when I watch a football game, like I can actually manage to enjoy myself. A lot of my friends, when they watch sports, they don't really get a whole lot out of it. I can at least appreciate the camaraderie that comes with it, the sort of dynamic between like the teams, and the little bit of history behind that I can manage to scrape up and remember. But when it boils down to it, I would say I am more of someone who is not into sports than is.
Sure.
As someone who's like never really played, as someone who's doesn't really keep up with like games or anything like that.
Well, you know what? The nice thing about this is it's not we don't have to be a sports podcast.
We don't. Yeah. And I'm so happy about that.
Say we get the movies on. I'll drop my trinkets of sports knowledge in here and there, and if I can sprinkle them in when we talk about film, awesome.
Yeah, maybe one of these days I'll recommend Remember the Titans or something.
Okay, well, sure. I'll do the recommending. There's a bevy.
Oh, yeah. There's a bevy.
There's more than just one football movie out there.
What if I beat you to it though? Here's the thing, because it's my turn to recommend a movie this episode.
You want to recommend? You're gonna burn like your movie recommendation on that?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that I am. I'm just not going to count it out.
All right. Keep him on his toes.
Yeah, don't underestimate me, McClain Parker. So I think now is as good as time as any to talk about the movies that we saw. So for this episode, we are going to be discussing Shang-Chi, which is Marvel's newest movie that came out. And then after that, we are going to discuss Manhunter, which is the movie that Mac recommended last episode.
So, just thinking about this, kind of for everyone listening, how much are we going to dive completely into Shang-Chi?
I would say so.
Okay.
As much as we can.
If you haven't seen it, I would say don't listen to this part. All right. You're going to want to save some time, because I don't want to give away spoilers or things that happen. I mean, that if you've seen it, definitely listen. But if you haven't, probably skip ahead a little bit, because I don't want to ruin the movie for you.
Okay. So you want to make this a spoiler discussion?
Well, I mean, if there are things that happen, I mean, I didn't really know a whole lot about the film going into it. Mm-hmm. So, if I were to listen to something and they were talking extensively about things that are happening, definitely would have changed like the outlook or what I'm expecting in the film. So going into it without any knowledge whatsoever of it was kind of refreshing. I don't even in the trailer, like, I knew there were 10 rings and some guy got them.
Yeah, I had the same exact experience. I knew nothing going into it. I didn't even watch any trailers for it, honestly. And based on the small amount of advertising that I saw of it and like the TV commercials and all that, I just assumed that it was going to be another almost like generic Marvel movie, kind of along the lines of like Doctor Strange and Black Panther, Captain Marvel, things like that. The second Ant-Man.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get into this because
first off, yeah, absolutely. Having been part of the origin or the genesis of Marvel with Iron Man, and I don't even know it was Iron Man Marvel Studios.
Yes.
So that was like their first, because Favreau directed that one.
Yep.
And, it comes out, and I don't even know, I think I was like 18 at the time. Was it 2008 it came out?
It was 2008. I would have been in 8th grade.
8th grade? Yeah.
Yep.
No, I was graduating high school. So,
Right on.
I'm telling you.
Pointing out the differences again.
There's generational lapses, you know.
Yeah, generational perspectives.
That's why shenanigans is such a heavy word with me.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I use it in a negative context. I don't know. Anyways, so Marvel comes out. I really don't know that Iron Man's part of the Marvel studio. I mean, it's just like, movie. And pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then Captain America, right? Is that the next origin story?
Thor's
sprinkled in there.
So it was Iron Man, then I believe Captain America.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, we don't need to get into the time. I'm just trying to Thor's in there.
Yeah, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America. And I think Iron Man 2.
Yeah, I'm just talking origins.
Okay.
Like you get, because, Shang-Chi, if they have the next one come out, it's going to be turning into a franchise.
Yeah.
Its own little.
It's kind of looking like that.
Right? Like they're going to have 3 Shang-Chi movies come out.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I was just watching it, and I was thinking about how far we've come in terms of Marvel with where they're at, production value, writing, character development, and honestly, Thor, Captain America. I'm trying to think if there's another one out there. I want to say during this time, maybe it's just kind of, it might have been and I'll get into Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we get further, I think it's imperative that we maybe summarize this really quickly. Give a summary of Shang-Chi before we kind of get really into it.
The movie?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about how far that they've come, Marvel. I'm a little bit more so on Marvel, not Shang-Chi.
Yeah, no, and we can definitely do that. I just wanted to make sure that we get a summary of it there.
Yeah.
Kind of before we dive headfirst into it. So I guess I can give a quick summary. And this will be a spoiler-free summary too, so
yeah,
you can listen to this and not have to worry about the movie getting ruined for you. So Shang-Chi is about this guy named Shang-Chi, who his father basically obtains these artifacts called the 10 Rings, which he wears around his arms, and he's thousands of years old and he's really powerful, and he is kind of a tyrant when it first starts and you're introduced to his character, because he goes around and he's almost like a Genghis Khan figure. He conquers a bunch of land, he decimates anything that gets in his path, and then finally he comes across this this ancient mythical land that he's trying to get into called Lao, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's guarded by this woman who he falls in love with, and then the two of them fall in love. They have children. One of them is a boy named Shang-Chi. The other one is a girl who's his sister in the movie. And then after a while, it flashes forward. You see Shang-Chi is an adult. He's in California. He's working as a car valet person. I think the title is just called car, a valet.
Valet.
Yeah. I don't want to get too complicated with it. So, and his best friend is Katie, who's played by Awkwafina. And the movie starts out with some bad guys who tried to steal his pendant from him. And then after that, a scene ensues where you find out that Shang-Chi has some really cool fighting abilities. He has to go over back to where he came from. He takes Katie with him, and then a bunch of adventures ensue to where he has to figure out why these guys want to steal his pendant and why his dad wants to get him back to China, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
China. I don't know. That's, I guess, it's weird when you live in this different universe in Marvel where you have the United States and then you also have Asgard.
I'm going to verify this really quickly so I'm not an ugly American. Just to make sure we get this right.
No, I mean, and that's pretty apt on everything that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie, it's like I didn't know anything about it, and they lead off in the exposition. They tell you, the father, who the father is, and then they kind of show him, and I don't. It's not really guessing. Like I'm pretty sure that was his mom and dad, right? Or it's at least if you've seen the trailer, You got is it Chinatown in California?
So it starts in California, and then they go to, I believe it is China, because a lot of the mythology in the movie is Chinese.
Mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Man.
So
that's a big word.
Yeah.
If you take out ology, it's all about myths then, dog.
Yeah, dude. Also, if you hear pitter patter in the background, it is currently storming outside right now. It just came down like pretty much when we started. So if you hear anything in the background, I apologize.
Just my stomach.
Yep. Mac just ate too much Taco Bell before recording. Kind of a repeat of last episode.
No, I mean I might get some food after this. So.
Are you?
I might.
If you're getting food, maybe we can both get food.
I'm gonna go grab. I'm gonna go watch the L.A. Chicago game.
Oh, okay.
You gotta understand, football's back, so I try to, when I get a chance to like rest, I try to watch it and just kind of kick back. It's been like crazy. I'm telling you right now, it's been my quads are killing me from dancing last night. Like I cut a pretty good rug.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think so. I don't know. I had one of my buddies is like, man, I didn't know you could move like that. And I was like, I don't know if he's just tooting my horn or if it's just, a nice little, hey, we'll see you later. Great job on the dance floor. You never really know. Dancing's one of those things you get out there and when you do it, you feel good doing it. It doesn't mean you're good at it.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple things in life like that, but.
Shang-Chi. We're getting back into it. All right. Did I give an apt enough summary, do you think?
That's good.
Okay.
That's how, listen, man, if I was going to talk about it, that's exactly what happens. And you don't really know. So
Sometimes I get lost in trying to remember what happens because I saw it like a week ago.
It's still fresh in for as much as fresh can be in my mind, it's still fresh. And that was like, the subway scene happens 15, 20 minutes into it.
You mean the bus scene?
Yeah, the bus scene. Wow.
Yeah.
How...
Are you? Yeah.
No one. You don't need to listen. You don't need to call me out. All right. And I'm not talking to you, and I'm not saying as fresh can get. All right. I mix up certain transit items. All right. Anyways, but yeah, no, that's like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, and it's just it moves from there into certain spots. So
yeah, it's basically a whole struggle because his mom passes away, and then he has to confront his dad about his dad trying to get him and his sister to attack Tailao, the place that he tried to get into before when he fell in love with
the mom.
The mom.
So is it me or they're like, did Stan Lee have a bad relationship with his dad or like? I don't know. Like, so there's always like a weird underlying theme. Not always. Well, kind of. So Iron Man with his dad. Okay. Remember the dad goes away. I think it's in Civil War. You kind of see that their relationship was a little impaired and that he had a very negative view on his dad, but loved his dad. You get Guardians of the Galaxy, Quinn or Quill, like a pen.
Yeah.
He had one with his dad. Actually, he had to. I won't say it. And then you got Shang-Chi. You got Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's Marvel with Uncle Ben, who kind of is a pseudo father figure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It was just so watching that movie, I couldn't help but like take that in. Like, man, Marvel's got this weird thing going on with these heroes and their dad, and as part of the hero's journey, they're like repairing these relationships or discovering them. And I don't know if that's like for character development.
I think, to me, it's more of like a good kicking off point or a good catalyst for a hero to become a certain way or to like start a certain journey. Like doing something with a character's parents is good motivation for them to do some sort of act and to kind of like get that ball rolling.
Sure.
I mean, you kind of get a different relationship comparing Thor and his relationship with his dad to someone like Iron Man.
Yeah.
Because Thor obviously has like this really respected view of Odin. He's got like a very strong relationship with both of his parents. And then you take someone like Shang-Chi.
Oh.
Yeah, or Loki.
No,
but mostly
yeah.
Shang-Chi, whose relationship with his dad is fractured, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
At the point that we see him as an adult in the movie.
Oh my God, his dad was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that was, I don't know. It's okay. The other weird part for me watching this thing,
yes.
right? So obviously it kind of leads off with the things I have. I mean, I think they did a good job with it. So the dad, and I don't want to, it all happens quick, and you kind of find out, but he goes from like someone that obviously is bad, right? Like the exposition is just like he conquered everything and used it for power, and it shows him like destroying everything, and then it goes into good.
Yep.
And then the dad and then you get the backstory with the dad when they talk about it on the on the plane over to, and then it goes back into the dad. I don't know what I'm thinking of the dad. Like the dad's motive in this thing, to me, wasn't like absurd.
No, it wasn't. They made him a very
sympathetic villain.
Yeah, sympathetic villain. It's a very different villain from what previous Marvel movies have done. Especially because you really get the sense that he doesn't want to conquer Taylor when he I guess we'll just get into spoilers now, right? Since we pretty much have to.
We've done the best we can, all right? Leave us alone.
Yeah, you've listened to enough.
If you haven't seen the movie, that's on you.
Yeah.
Unless you're afraid, of COVID or something like that, then I understand.
I like the idea of us getting really aggressive with our viewers and our listeners.
You don't tell me how to do this. No, but honestly, please subscribe.
Yes, please. Give us a like on Facebook. So, touching on his dad as a villain, it was, you really didn't get the sense that he was trying to conquer Taylor.
For sure.
That he was he wasn't trying to like subject the people or like rule the world or anything. He was just genuinely someone who thought he was hearing the voice of his wife.
Yeah.
And wanted to save her, air quotes, save her from her imprisonment, when in reality it was basically wall demons that were trying to get out into the world and who were influencing him, getting into his mind, speaking to him.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know. It's a sympathetic villain works. I mean, like for me, it's you're watching it. All right, he goes from conquering, okay, to then he gets into the thing Taylor, and you kind of see that he's falling in love, right? And then you find out the horrificness he has with Shang-Chi. Like that was like disturbing. All right, so then I'm like, wow, he's a real POS.
Yeah.
Right, and then he brings him back, and he's going on and on about like, I got her back, I can get her back, and I'm like, oh wow, and that's when I was like, what the fuck do I feel for this guy?
It's complicated, and I think they made it work because
for sure
he becomes so blinded with the goal of freeing his dead wife.
Yeah.
That it almost has like a reverse effect on what he wants to ultimately accomplish, because he does it with the purpose of like getting them together, like back as a family, like creating the family whole because it's been broken. But then how he goes about it is, like I said, it has like the opposite effect almost, because towards the end of it, he's like fighting Shang-Chi. Like there's a scene where it basically implies that like he kills him.
Yeah.
Like he throws his body in the water and says like, if you're going to stand in my way of me finding your mother, then you are just another obstacle to what I ultimately have to do. And to me, that's just like a touch on how he is as a character, because he's so driven by just wanting to be with his wife again, that the closest possible thing that he already has to family, he is willing to push off a cliff, basically.
Yeah.
In order to like try to restore that family, which is almost an ass backwards way of thinking about it, but
It was
what he
bizarre.
does.
Like I didn't, and I'm watching it, and I just was thinking, all right, this is like, I get it. I know what he's doing. I thought they did a really good job. I'm just gonna say that. To make me neutral on that guy, I thought was spectacular, and actually make you think about the character, his motive, and he's doing it. But you also know his backstory too. So
Yes.
you have these conflicting notions about the guy. So it's really like, where is he at? And I think he just really loved his wife and his family. Like that's ultimately he didn't like the power.
Yeah. It's so overall, I really enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was refreshing. I thought it was very different from a lot of the Marvel stuff that we've seen recently. I thought it was one of the higher quality Marvel movies that I've seen overall.
Yeah, that was, and I'm not trying to like pick beef with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree 100%. Like I thought, the script was I thought it was well done. It flowed very fluidly. It had a lot of levity in it. I don't think Marvel does this thing. They're so self-aware with where they're like, who they are and what they're doing, and they don't run into those problems, I guess, where they can make jokes about the snap. They live in they understand they're in their own universe, so they can be self-aware about what's going on and say, hey, this is kind of crazy. This guy does have 10 rings and he can, fight across a skyscraper that's 35 stories up. Like we can still have fun with this, and we can touch on it because that was, to me, Guardians of the Galaxy absolutely switched how Marvel movies were done. Shout out James Gunn.
If you're listening.
Yeah. We'll get you on the subscription. But the one thing that bugged me in this, CGI.
Okay.
The CGI in this film, Marvel Studios could probably buy Amazon.
Right.
Okay. And I'm like, the CGI in this reminded me of 2007.
Interesting. At what point specifically? Because I do agree with you. There are some spots in the movie.
The end of the film, not necessarily the beasts, but kind of like when they're on a certain creature. Some of the scenes on the bus, I want to say, when they did some of the CGI with the whole like a panned out shot. I think like some of the stuff on the skyscraper was CGI. That was cool, but it was like when it's like, hey, we got to get these guys on a green screen.
Yeah, and also that shot was at nighttime too.
So it helps.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't have to be as gritty or as finely tuned.
Right.
But it was when they had to be on a green screen, and it looked like someone was in their basement and threw up a white.
Yeah.
Sheet.
There were a few moments where like, not necessarily like the CGI took me out of it, because there were some times where like I noticed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's very clearly CGI, but I can suspend my disbelief enough to live with it. There were a few moments with green screen. I remember one scene with Awkwafina's character, just like she's like on a grassy cliff and she's like looking out somewhere, and it's very clear that there's like a green screen behind them.
Yeah.
And I just noticed a few things like that, and that took me out of it more so than the CGI for me.
Yeah, I guess I kind of use interchangeably, like the green screen and the CGI stuff. That's what I don't get. Like, I don't know where we're at with. I feel like green screens are like in the past. Like, if you wanted to do, especially if you're Marvel,
right?
Like I'm not saying you have to CGI Awkwafina into it, but you can at least use that technology. So if you make it like look like you're in virtual reality, they don't. What I'm saying is, like, if I had him on a car. You remember the old James Bond's films? They'd put the camera on the hood of the car.
Yeah.
Right? And then they'd show him driving.
Yep.
And then behind it would just be film rolling.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And it always, like, you try to catch it, like, all right, are we past? Is that the second mountain that came back up again?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's just rolling. Right?
I think that same car passed by like 3 times now.
And what I'm saying, like, that, like, we're past that. Like, now we can put these guys in a car, do like the green dots, all that stuff, and we can totally make it them with whatever we want behind them. So I'm saying, like, they have the money to do it. It was just crazy to me. Like, you have the money to do this, and you elect to go down to like a third party outfit and have them, you know, CGI this guy riding, you know, a mythical creature. Like, it didn't really take me out too much because I thought the film was fantastic, but I was just catching myself laughing like, you have so much money. Like,
right.
Why are you acting like you're penny saving on this film?
Yeah, there are definitely certain parts that look more expensive than others.
Yeah.
So, for example, the end fight with the dragon and the basically like demon beast that they're fighting. I actually thought that the demon beast and like for a good portion of it, the dragon like looked pretty good.
Oh, 100%.
I thought it looked like really decent, especially like that end like balls to the walls scene where he's like in the air and the beast creatures like getting sunk into the water.
Yeah.
Like basically being torn apart. I thought that was pretty well done as far as like special effects go. You can definitely tell they saved a lot of their budget for that scene specifically.
Well, you know, I hear budget, but I'm like, it's Marvel, man. Like, you know, it's not like your A24. Like, you're not building up, I can only have this one scene. Like, you're going to get, like,
that's true.
Huh?
That's true, but I mean, they still have a budget.
I know they do, but like, yeah, I don't know. If I'd like to say, like, they're going to be like, all right, we dropped $600 million on this. You know, it would have been an extra $100 million to actually make everything look crisp.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, all right, you don't have that one. All right, and let's say they go, well, and then I'd be like, two, all right, like, let's say that extra $100 million brings in another, you know, 5 or like 50,000 people that go to the movie to watch it. Like, don't you almost net on that alone?
It depends. I mean, it depends on like what kind of sort of result they expect to get. Because I mean, it did release. I mean, it's been successful overall, I would say, but I think it like almost like matched its budget when it comes to the box office. I think it well, in
the first 2 weeks, like, this thing's got,
right,
you know what I'm saying? Like, it just came out 2 weeks ago and it's already like where it's at. Like, what's it gonna gross then? Yeah, it's not gonna die. Like, this thing still has like the action figures to sell. I mean, they got guys doing podcasts about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how much is this going to... I mean, I'm not... It's just nitpicking a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Like, I kind of got to know... I understand that indie films are smaller, you know, production houses. Like, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, Marvel to me is probably like... It's got to be almost one of the biggest ones. Think of how many films... Marvel's come out with how many films since 2008?
Yeah. But see, that's the thing, though. They release so much in the span of a year.
Yeah, but
like,
it's all
they'll release
going
like
Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, so they can throw it wherever they want.
Right. But they'll release like 3 movies a year.
Yeah.
And they have to like spread their resources on like those 3 movies. They have to like keep up with the fact that they have to like keep a consistent schedule. I mean, it's only been recently that it's kind of wavered.
That was the one thing.
COVID.
So the one thing I think I was talking about, one of my buddies was with it. If they said, because it got filmed in COVID, and they had to do that stuff because of COVID, I was like, all right, I get that's a pass. Like, you know, what the fuck does my opinion matter? But I was like, that's a pass. Like, I understand that because I know that there's probably things that happened when you're filming it to have a pandemic hit. You know, that's like, all right, we gotta. But if it didn't, you know, then I'm like, all right, why? I just want to know.
Well, let's write an email to Kevin Feige.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, Kevin Feige. Get back to us, please.
Shout out.
But no, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was refreshing. I always compare it to Black Panther in terms of like and not that Black Panther was like an origin story, because I mean he's already established as Black Panther at that time.
I think it is. I mean, like I think it is just because it's a passing of the crown. The Black Panther exists. So, I mean, when you're looking at it as the current Black Panther, you know, in terms of the origin, I guess if you're talking about would be who was the first Black Panther.
Like when I think of origin, I think of like, I guess, what you were about to touch on was that's sort of like, all right, how does Black Panther become Black Panther?
Right, and not the one that, because it's a pass, it's a hand-me-down.
Because like I guess in my mind you would think of like, okay, you see him as a kid and then you see him like get older and then like get the crown and like stuff like that. And because like in my mind he's already like interacted with like the Avengers at that point. I mean, he was in Civil War before the events of Black Panther, so he's already kind of like a superhero at that point.
Yeah, I guess. I
think it's just different definitions of like quote unquote origin story.
For sure. The reason why is because I don't, and that's what I'm saying. We're different because you're more of a writer, and the backstory matters. To me, it's like if you throw out, hey man, it's the King's kid. Mm-hmm. Like that's good enough for me. I don't need, the 18 years of his life. I don't need to see him pass trig in high school.
Right.
Do I get the crown? But I agree with you though. It depends on how you view an origin and how much you want into an origin film. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think and I do agree that aspect is that Black Panther touches on it, but then it goes into current day events. Mm-hmm. So it's not really reflecting on the past, or how he got there, as it is with him just where he's at now. So, yeah, I mean the standalone films like that, I guess I've always viewed them as origin stories, but like even like Thor, I guess Thor 1 is but it's not. They touch on stuff, but it's not really like an origin story. It's just the introduction of Thor. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and you could, not to spend like too much time on this, but like you could argue that like Thor, he was like not necessarily the origin story of like him as like being Thor, but like his character and like how he changes as a person throughout the movie, going from like this kind of selfish sort of like full of himself brat to someone who has to learn to connect with like other people and sort of like not be selfish.
Oh my god!
In
you
that
think
way.
Whatever. Thor's Thor. We'll talk about Thor at a different time.
Yeah,
Marvel's always going to be the nice thing. I was telling my buddy before I came over here. I was like, the nice thing about Marvel is like it's like not going away, and there's so much stuff to talk about. It's so fruitful in conversation. Like you can literally. Anytime you want to just bring up Marvel, you could probably kill an hour.
There's a lot. There's a lot, dude.
Shang-Chi, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, you know what? I think it's like right up there. Like Iron Man's been the best to me. Like up until, and then I watched this, and I think this is like a second.
Okay.
And Iron Man's always going to be number one because they didn't have to use James Gunn to become self-aware. Tony Stark's Tony Stark. So he's just a character in and of himself, right? Action's great. I mean, they dive into a little stuff here and there with it. You learn a little bit more about Iron Man, and then at the end, I'm Iron Man. So we don't have to go through the whole time guessing, which probably might have been like a unique thing. And then you get into like Thor, Captain America. Even Black Panther to me was all right. And then what I say is, Guardians came out before Black Panther, obviously. Guardians flipped the whole way you can do it.
Yep.
James Gunn said, all right, we can make jokes about ourselves, about whatever we want. We can be funny. This doesn't have to be melodramatic, saving the world. Yeah. Obviously, we're going to, but we're going to do it in a light humor way. Mm-hmm. Like I guess it's confidence, it's swag. So, and then in Shang-Chi, what we finally get to see is, because I think the last one that came out was in Captain Marvel. Oh my god, that talk about going back to its roots. Mm-hmm. Like I'd like to see who directed Captain Marvel. Like, do you think that guy, like they said, hey, like here's the blueprint, and he just was like, pass?
I'm not sure. Sure.
It might have just been shoehorned.
I just forget details about that movie. Like,
yeah.
It's like it's definitely one of the lesser ones, but going back to comparing the two, like to me, Shang-Chi is the movie that I kind of wish Black Panther was, because to me, Shang-Chi has better characters. I think it has overall just better results in like what Black Panther was trying to be, because definitely had better special effects than Black Panther did. The end fight scene in Black Panther almost looked like a PS3 cutscene.
Black Panther came out like in a time there was like a lot of racial turmoil going on, so it was nice that the African American community had a superhero they could relate to. Yeah. Right. So the movie comes out, and I think it was a little bit more directed at the African American community, like kind of like watered down, and I think that it missed a little bit in that, for me, from my perspective, is why it missed a little bit. And I think that's kind of what happened is at the time. And then it got a little bit more hype than I thought it should have. Now, I could be way off with Black Panther, but
I am in agreement with you.
Like, I know, like, some things sometimes, like, perfect example, here's a sports topic, so, if you tune out, whatever. Odell Beckham Jr. makes this unbelievable catch as a wide receiver, okay? Unbelievable. Play of the century. Play of the decade, I think, or of the year. And then all of a sudden, he gets, like, you're a top 5 wide receiver because he has this one play, right? 5 years later, he's just muddling, never really got up to that status that everyone thought he was. But because of the time and what he did, everyone overhyped it. So it's like way, just way above where it should be. And there's no momentum coming down. And then no one wants to say, hey, man, like, that guy isn't that good, And it's like, in Black Panther, in its own right, I'm not saying it's a bad film. That's not what I'm saying, because I like Black Panther. I just don't think it's like, man, everyone was just going on and raving about it. And I finally saw it, and I was like, I guess, like, it's not, it fits in there. It's not, there are Marvel movies I will skip over. That's not one of them.
Right.
But it's definitely like,
it's nowhere near like the levels of like Thor the Dark World or Ant-Man and the Wasp 2.
Oh my, yeah.
It's not in like the dregs of like the Marvel lineup, but
no, both the Ant-Man and the, I mean, and they're so, like, compared to Captain Marvel quality films.
And Captain Marvel.
That one just never got made.
Yeah, no.
That's like it's like the supposedly created Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the, like, it never really happened.
Yeah, to me, it's like, how, like, the last Airbender movie was, never got made.
Yeah, it's really not there.
Yeah.
People will tell you.
People insist that it exists, but yeah. I just say otherwise.
Yeah, and then they tell you about their imaginary friend, and you're like, see, that's why they're crazy.
Mm-hmm. What are you talking about? M. Night Shyamalan?
Yeah.
What movie did he make? Nah, it couldn't have been. But no, I wouldn't say Black Panther was bad. I would just say that it was kind of like a middle run. I would say like almost like slightly less than middle run Marvel movie.
Yeah. And we're not here to bash on Black Panther. I mean, that's not the goal.
We kind of are.
Well, it's not here to do. We're just Shang-Chi came out, and I guess it's it was really good. I laughed. There's a lot of times where I like laughed out loud. Mm-hmm. I LOL'd.
Yeah. I LMAO'd, rafflecoptered all over the floor.
What's a rafflecopter?
I think that's a generational gap.
Is it?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyway.
Too heady for me.
Yep. A little bit over your head, a little bit below my head.
I was about to say, it sounds like it's at my feet.
Yeah, no. It's it's definitely like...
Is that an emoji? A rafflecopter?
No, it's just like it's just an expression.
Oh.
I think. It's very... Like, I don't want to use the word niche when describing rafflecopter.
No,
but
of course.
It's
even more. You get smaller than niche.
Man, I don't want to talk about rafflecopter anymore.
Okay, can I bring that up on a first date?
Yes.
Oh, I could.
You could. Should you?
No. I'm saying, like, yeah,
I don't know.
Does it lead into a second?
It's up to you.
Really?
Yeah.
How do I approach it?
Like, just go up to the table, right? She's already sat there, right? Because it's a blind date, so you're meeting her for the first time.
Oh my god!
And she's already got the table because maybe you're like 10 minutes late or something because a porcupine walked down the middle of the road.
Anxiety. I'm sweating my ass off in the car.
Yep.
Going over my note cards.
The porcupine is just a metaphor.
Oh.
For how your stomach feels before you walk into the restaurant.
My stomach. I don't get. Please.
So then you walk up to her, you walk up to the table, right? And then she goes, "Oh, I'm so glad you made it. I wasn't sure if you were coming." And you go, "Rafflecopter."
Hold on one second. Anyone listening? All right. That's
Trust
not
me,
how I talk.
It'll work.
All right. I will ask her if she rafflecoptered.
Yeah. Like a gentleman.
Yeah. How are you doing today? Did you rafflecopter? And I'm still not sure. Is this a verb or an adjective? It sounds like something you do.
It's one of those things where if you find out what it actually is, it lessens the value.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Rafflecoptering right now is just like, all right. I got my own thing with rafflecopters. I like it.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, so apparently we raffle coftered all over the floor.
Yeah,
and it was well done. I mean, like I said, I can't speak more to it.
I thought the fight choreography was really good.
Oh my god!
I think that was my favorite part.
I'm just
gonna
start calling it a subway. And it was a trolley, by the way, or was it a bus? Oh, it was a bus.
It was a bus.
It had a connector.
It had seats.
It was weird because when it's flying down, the streets of San Fran, it's kind of got a trolley vibe to it.
Yeah, well, it has like those poles in it that like you can just hold on to. And,
yeah, that's what
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, that was pretty cool.
That was
all of it. Really was.
I thought the music was really good too for those scenes.
Okay. Wow, you thought I'd forget about this one. So the one thing that bugs me in film.
Okay.
And it happened in this one. All right.
Very curious.
Is or you want to learn how to beat so and so? Let me teach you. And then they do like one move, does it wrong, gets punched, and then they go, all right, you need to do it like this now. Feel, whatever. And then they go, oh, and it like unleashes their mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is like such a load of shit.
When did that happen in the movie?
When they get to Ta Lo with the ant and they're fighting, and that was like an intimate scene too. Talk about freaking weird. Let me go find my aunt in this field, and like I know in this the karate.
Oh, okay.
The martial arts is supposed to be somewhat of a yin and yang stress reliever kind of peace of mind.
They display it as like a dance in the movie.
Yes, which I just thought was kind of. I'm like it making it seem like the mom and so the mom and the dad do the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that was like that's intimate. It gets a dance,
mm-hmm.
right? You're dancing, and then he does it with his aunt, and I'm like, all right, no offense, but like the first time as an audience we've seen this fight, the guy ended up boning the lady. They had kids. So the next time we see it, like, I don't know. I'm like, make it a little bit more. I understand what they're going for, and it's like a fam. But I'm just saying, as an audience, for me, I'm like, I've only seen this one other time, and it was between the mom and the dad before they had the kids. So I don't want to say what it led to, all right? And hopefully he's the dad.
I think this is just something you've been thinking about.
Well, yeah, these are all my thoughts. I mean, it's just like I saw it, and I'm like sitting there, I was like, this is just weird. Like, I understand that what they're trying to get after is like, you got to feel the energy, and this is how you do it. And she's really kind of getting Ta Lo into him and some of his, like, taking out the teen angst of you fighting your
mm-hmm.
dad. You have to take on your dad.
Mm-hmm.
This is ease of mind. And that's kind of what she's teaching him in this thing. And I understand it's a dance. It felt kind of weird. And like I'm thinking about it, it's just like, all right, the only other time that I've seen these two people fight was the mom and the dad in the beginning of the film,
mm-hmm.
like this, right? And obviously it's probably like how you do it, but anyway, because that's what brought them together, right? Unless there was there something else that I missed with like their mutual respect for each other when they got in there and their understanding that they were equals, or like
I kind of just saw it as more of like a don't let your aggressiveness take over when it comes to fighting someone or like defending yourself, because they do that same scene when the son and the dad fight each other, when Shang-Chi fights his dad, because he's like trying to go after him, and then the son like pulls the move on him where like they're dancing and they're kind of like twirling around in a way, and he looks at him the same way that he looked at
because
his wife.
He was an equal. He
mm-hmm.
wasn't that much more powerful than his son.
Yeah,
and I did pick up on that, and so that was now the third time that they fought.
Mm-hmm. So
you kind of get the feeling, all right, it's a little bit more of the passing of the torch, or the the teaching of the lifestyle. So that and then the Aquafina learning how to shoot bow and arrows, and I'm like, like a lot of time has passed. In my head, I'm trying to be like, all right, how long? They had to get there at a certain time. The maze was only supposed to be open for, I think it was 3 days it was open for,
mm-hmm.
or 3 days out of the year. So I don't know how it went. That one threw me off. And then, so they're in Ta Lo, and they're doing all this stuff, and then I don't know how much time passed, and Aquafina then makes a joke at some point in the fight. I can't believe I learned how to shout in a day.
Right.
you know, and that's when I kind of was like, well, it's Marvel, and they just they don't care. Like that's what I'm talking about with the self-awareness. Like, hey, if freaking Spider-Man and Tony Stark can take an atomic bomb out, like this chick can learn how to shoot a bow and arrow in a day. And like that's the universe that you live in. So it's refreshing. I just, like I say, in my head, I always bring it back to like reality. Like if that were to happen, you know, if I took you to freaking our archery set and all of a sudden you're shooting apples off someone's head, like I wouldn't be like, you didn't teach them how to, it's genes, right? Like that's a miracle that happened. So
yeah, it would have been nice to like maybe with like Awkwafina's character specifically, if we had more scenes with like her learning the bow, or like just her like trying to use the bow like when they get attacked and like it not really succeeding like in her favor, and then it kind of like transitions into her like actually doing something right, which eventually causes like the victory at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, and you want it to be, I mean, I get it, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's not too much of a. It's just the fight scene was just weird, and I get that. It's kind of where it's coming from, but I don't know. I was like, does it have to be the aunt?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
she was kind of the elder of the the tribe and all that stuff. I don't know. It just,
I don't know. I didn't have an issue with it.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm like, people like I talk to and then they leave when mid conversation.
Yeah, no, I didn't really see it like that. I just saw it as like, okay, she's like the leader, so, and she has like a familial connection with the character.
And
so.
I mean, it's her sister, and they probably practice together too. So it's not bashing it. I just, that part of I never like that in films, and it's not just that one. I hate when we're gonna do the training montage, because obviously we have to bring him from point A, like level 1 to level 3, and we can't, you get 5 minutes. So
yeah,
I get
they
it.
don't spend like enough time on it.
Yeah, you don't even need to. It's just I just never, I don't know. I think there's a better way to do it, and I'll figure it out, and then I'm gonna tell Winding Refn about it.
For me, it was so overall, I have like the same feelings that you do. I enjoyed the movie immensely. I thought it was like one of the better Marvel movies, like I said, and there were like a few things with it that I really wasn't a fan of. The first and foremost being some of the exposition in the movie kind of felt like really heavy exposition, especially like towards the beginning with them talking about his dad and like him meeting the mom and like setting up Ta Lo and like Shang-Chi and like all that, which I get that they have to do. But
yeah,
I don't.
Funny, I was like completely cool with that.
Yeah, I don't know. There are ways I think to do it a little more streamlined and to like have it like get right into where you want to go. Because that first it lasted for like 15 minutes. I feel like that like first.
Oh, you're talking about the dad and Ta Lo and the fight with the mom before we get to Shang-Chi. And
yeah. I felt like that was a little long.
It was. So the only issue I had is the narrator, and I'm like, who's... Oh, no. It ended up being the mom telling Shang-Chi when he was a boy, right? Like, we get to that point. She ended up being the narrator, and then he wakes up from a dream or something like that. Like,
yeah, something like that.
I know. That one's tough, because I'm with you. I think that one's tough, because you're taking... And the reason why I'm saying this stuff, I know a little bit about Iron Man. I know a little bit about Captain America. Like, and it wouldn't take much to... Captain America, hey, man, we injected him with steroids. Now it's superhuman. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm down. I like that. All right.
Yep.
Can I sign up? All right. This one, and they didn't even get in the 10 rings. It was like, hey, they're just crafting and he found them. Mm-hmm. I was like, where's that story?
Yeah.
All right. Like, if I found something to take over the world, I bet you I'd have a freaking story.
Yeah.
What is this, Gollum in Lord of the Rings? Remember when he just reaches, hey, is that a ring? And
yeah. There it is.
He's so stupid, though, too. That dude had the most power in the world, and the only thing he could do is go into a cave and, like,
Lord of the Rings discussion to come in the future.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, anyways, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm with you a little bit. I just thought it was kind of, I'm in the same boat. I just thought, man, they got a lot to get out.
Yeah.
And they got 10, 15 minutes to do it before we're into it. And they still had more to go.
Mm-hmm. And that to me was like, okay, if my friends hadn't told me about that ahead of time and I saw it and I didn't have that in the back of my mind, I was like, okay. Because they told me, I was like, I just have to get through this, and then the movie kind of like picks up. If I didn't have that in the back of my mind, I would have been like, oh no, this movie's gonna be like this the whole time, isn't it? Like it's just gonna be exposition and just backstory, and that's all it's gonna be. But I'm glad that it wasn't.
No, I didn't think, and I thought they did a good job. I mean, even when they're getting into his kind of little bit of how I got here, I thought it was well done on the plane. Like, it made me laugh.
No, I liked that. I liked that part of it when it kind of, like, harshly transitions to, like, him talking to Awkwafina on the plane and they get interrupted by the stewardess.
Yeah.
I liked that scene.
You know, so.
It was more so, like, my gripes with the first, like, 15 minutes. And then there's, like, a few moments where they're, like, actually at the compound with the dad and he's, like, going over a few things when they're at the dinner table. And then, like, they do, like, that whole scene where the water comes out of the wall and they see the maze.
Yeah.
That was, to me, a little bit expositionary, but not nearly as much as the beginning, I think.
No, I get. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you know, I guess it's a little tough.
Yeah, and then another kind of gripe I had with it was, so like I said earlier, I really love the fight choreography.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I'm a big like action movie guy. Like I love action movies. Like Mission Impossible, John Wick. Those are like some of my favorite movies that I enjoy watching. So the bus scene and like the scaffolding scene are like the two scenes in my mind that like stand out to me as like, okay, these are like really good, just like action scenes. And they're so different from other action scenes in Marvel movies because there's not really any like superpowers involved. There's not really any like, you know, no one's flying through the air. No one's shooting laser beams. No one's like crushing something with like a giant god hammer. It's exhilarating and fast enough to where like, okay, I know this is like, this never happens, but it's grounded enough to where like, oh man, this is like just a really good action scene.
Well, I mean, I was watching it like, could Bruce Lee do this?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's because you know, you pick up Thor's hammer and it's not like, oh man, could Arnold Schwarzenegger do that?
Right.
You know, so I agree.
Yeah, and to me, it's like it did very much remind me of those old school like kung fu movies that came out a long time ago.
There's there's a Kung Fu Hustle poster in the. I was curious. I want to know the ties because actually one of the characters in Talgo was in Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's a tie somewhere. I don't know if it was like a shout out, but
probably a little cameo.
Yeah, well, no, he did, you know, but I didn't know, like, I'm talking about, like, the actual, you know, Shang-Chi director was maybe, like, a executive producer on Kung Fu Hustle. Like, how did that poster get attached? How did it make Shang-Chi who he is?
Right.
So I don't know maybe if there's, like, he was making, like, an indirect joke.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know, it was, like, a little Easter egg in there, and I don't know why.
Just like an Easter egg, I guess. And kind of an acknowledgement of like the influences of like the movie and the action scenes in it. But going back to my point, like those two scenes to me stick out as like really good fight choreography, and then I love them because they're so different from what we usually get in Marvel movies because it's so like fantastical and like world ending, and it almost kind of takes the tension away when it's like that, when everything is just like a ginormous like laser beam like
robot orgy.
Yeah, basically. You know. Like some of the like tension is kind of taken away when you add that much to it, whereas like those scenes are so compact into like one specific sort of thing that you can become like very invested in like what happens
to a point. I mean, there are, you know, so the skyscraper fight's happening on the scaffolding, and I'm like watching this like if I wasn't afraid of heights, like, and I knew I wouldn't die, I'd like to see how well, actually not even me, give me Simone Biles. I want to see how well she can do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
But it's not, there are different elements of it, because with the, you know, like you're saying, with Thor and Captain America and Iron Man, like you just got punches, and it just, who cares? Like this one actually had like a little bit of stakes and a little bit of hand-to-hand combat's a lot more intense or suspenseful.
Yes.
Than it is shooting a laser out of your hand.
And I think Awkwafina's character being there for both scenes helps add that tension too, because she's just someone who she doesn't know how to fight. She's just a normal person. She's just along for the ride. So there's moments where like she's in danger and he has to go help her and try to like make sure that she's safe. And that adds to like that sort of like, okay, now the audience can like kind of relate to somebody who's like in that situation. Not necessarily that they needed to, it just kind of helps ground the scenes.
For sure.
Later in the movie when he is in Ta Lo and he like actually acquires the rings.
Yeah.
It's kind of when things kind of become that sort of like usual Marvel style where like things are really flying all over the place and things are really fantastical and there's just kind of like this
what's going on in the film behind
like
it,
actual like superhero element behind it now.
I mean, you're at that point in the film, you got a dragon flying around with Awkwafina guiding it, and you got a demon soul sucker parasite with its babies sucking the souls out of everyone. So I mean, like, I do understand, but at that point, like, I'm not gonna gripe about the fighting with the tenor. Like, what's happening?
Yeah,
thing,
no,
you know,
and there's definitely like this sort of like, okay, this is kind of naturally where it was headed to, sort of thing.
Yeah,
it's just I kind of wish there were more scenes like the bus scene and the scaffolding scene, because those scenes I couldn't get enough of.
They were really cool. The bus scene, the music with the bus scene, like totally vibing out.
It was very well put together.
Oh my God. So like that is like a 6-minute clip or a 10-minute clip on YouTube that I could watch just with the music. Like that's almost a music video to me.
Oh yeah. I'll watch that video the same way I watched the knife fight scene in John Wick 3.
Oh, with Boba. Hey, speaking of, that's the intro in John Wick 3, right?
That's like the first fight scene. Yeah. Like one of the first
guy
fight
who's
scenes.
fighting?
Mm-hmm.
Boban Marjanovic.
Oh, you're talking about the library scene.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was talking about like the knife scene like right after.
Oh, that wasn't... Oh, right after.
Yeah.
Oh.
But no, I know who you're talking about.
Did you tell me about Boban?
I don't think I did. I knew he was a basketball player because he's tall as hell.
Yeah.
And I think he's Serbian, that guy in that scene. But that's a good scene too. And it's just kind of like okay, this is like a taste of like what we're getting into with John Wick 3. Yeah,
it was, and talking about ramping up the stakes. Yeah, no, I get totally. I mean, that's, you know, I think they kind of had the little scene with the ant in there, and then I think the prelude fight into the 10 rings with the dad when he kind of starts discovering I'm stronger or I'm getting out of whatever.
And like those scenes were like well done too. Like I'm not saying the like fantastical stuff was like bad or anything. It just, I wish that there was a little bit more of like that sort of like grounded choreography that we got, because we got those two scenes, and then I guess the scene where he's fighting the sister, but he just kind of gets his ass kicked in that scene and it's over. So I wish there was like a little more of that.
Yeah.
And then like I guess one more kind of like complaint that I had, it was like super minor, just not even. Like, if you left the theater early enough, it wouldn't even be a complaint.
Right.
But did you end up watching the end credit scenes?
Of course.
Okay. So the first one I enjoyed, where he and Awkwafina are in, like...
Talking to the lawyer.
They're talking to...
Going on about their...
Well, they're talking to Wong, and they're talking to Hulk and Captain Marvel. Or, like, Bruce Banner.
Oh no! The end of the film, it ends with the lawyer, right? When they get in there, they start talking about it.
Yeah,
and then Wong comes in. No, this is part of it. I thought
the end of the film before the credits roll is when they're at the restaurant
and Wong grabs them.
All right,
and then we go into the.
And then you go into the mid credits where they're talking to Wong and Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel about the 10 rings and like how old they are and where they came from, blah blah blah.
Yep.
And then the last like end credit scene, like after all the credits are done, when his sister is basically taking control of the 10 rings. Like that scene.
Yeah.
You remember?
Vaguely.
It's she's like staring at like pictures of like her mom, I think. And then they say something along the lines of like, "We're ready for you," and she's like, "I'll be out soon," and then she like gets out there and she's like, all right, everyone, we've got a lot of work to do. And then she like sits on like the throne, and it like kind of zooms out, and you see like the whole compound, and like you basically get the sense that she's taking over the 10 rings.
Yeah.
That scene was a little cheesy to me.
They have to horseshoe it in.
I guess, but it kind of just felt a little like, all right, that wasn't really necessary.
I mean, it's an ending credit scene. You know, you don't. They're good. They're
Yeah.
bad. It's kind of you've already eaten
also,
the
like,
meal.
it,
you know,
it
like,
kind of
it's not
bothered
even
me.
dessert. Like you're getting coffee after it, and you're like, man, I want.
Yeah, but I can still complain about the coffee.
I know you can't. I'm just saying. To me, it's like, all right, was the steak good? But I get what you're saying. I know. I won't nitpick.
Like, I'm not gonna bring it down. I'm not gonna bring down the Yelp review a whole star just because the coffee was bad.
I was about, right. It's just something you bring up.
Yeah, it's
Would
something you touch on in the
go there
comments.
because of the coffee?
No, of course not.
All right.
If the steak was good, I would tell him to go.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I'm making sure. I'm hearing it, and I'm like, all right, hold on one second.
That's why I prefaced it by saying it was a minor complaint.
All right.
Like I said, if I left the theater, it wouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah, I might have. I honestly, I don't remember. We saw this, and I don't remember if we stayed or not.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could actually see this and totally pivot and be like, dude, that fucking scene sucks.
But the whole instance when they like zoom out of her sitting on the throne and like you see everybody training, it looked bad. Like it looked like a TikTok filter when they were zooming out because they sped up the footage.
Budgeting. We only got so much money for budgeting.
They like sped up the footage of like her sitting on the throne and her head's like going back and forth, and it looks like a cheap TikTok video.
Well,
after that,
I can't. Hey, you do you, man. You get it. You raffle-coptered all over it when it ended. So I get it. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I have to talk about that though. Like I just felt like I had to bring it up, even though it's like this super nitpicky, like minor thing, doesn't even affect the movie in any way.
That's what makes this show so great, is that we go through and we do the work for you guys.
You hear that, audience?
All right.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so now you can save 7 minutes and not watch out on all the people that helped make that film.
Yeah, we watched the end credit scenes so that you didn't have to.
Exactly.
I always like those YouTube thumbnail titles that come up on my recommended every now and again. Like, I watched this movie so you don't have to.
Oh, nice.
It's like, I don't know.
Did they tell you then about the movie?
Yeah, they talk to you about the movie so that you don't have to. It's kind of becoming like this weird, annoying title trend. Yeah. Kind of like how
We're not doing that. I take everything back. I don't want that.
Well, it's kind of like the same vein of how...
I ate this so you don't have to eat it.
Yeah, yeah.
But how do you know if you don't like it? It's all about perspective. They're essentially ripping your perspective from you. That's awful.
I just know it's like a trend, that I've noticed.
Okay.
That I'm not a fan of. It's kind of like the same... It's in the same vein as a few years ago when a lot of video game articles would use titles such as...
you won't believe. Isn't that like tabloids?
No. I mean...
Gotcha journalism.
They use that for a lot, but...
Gotcha
specifically like game articles would use a title like Death Stranding is not how you think it would be, and that's a good thing.
Oh, and then you're like, why? And then you click on it and then you read very vanilla generic information.
Like it's very much titled to get a sense of interest out of you, like all articles are, to be fair.
Sure.
But that one specifically was a trend for like probably half a year. Specifically with IGN articles,
because they're they get the click up there, and they can see how many times that's clicked.
Yeah.
So then they do a focus group saying like, hey, why is this? And then what's the phenomenon?
Beat the dead horse with it.
And then they go, hey, it's because of this, and they go, get it out. Yep. It's it's a fad, man. It's a freaking fad.
Run this for however long until people get sick of it.
Yeah.
I just want to do it,
Jonah.
I don't care if people complain at first. We'll milk it till it's dry.
Oh my god!
Because that was a trend. That was a trend that they did for a while.
I believe. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't read the gaming, but I know what you're saying. I mean,
they'd write some shit like Sonic the Hedgehog is not who you think he is. He's an octopus, and that's a good thing.
How'd that make you feel?
I mean, you can tell how it made me feel just by me ranting about it.
All right. So, like, I agree. And it's, gotcha, whatever you want. I just call it gotcha.
Gotcha.
That's why I don't do it, because I don't ever want to get got. I get.
Yeah. I get Gotti.
Yeah.
John Travolta.
That's a movie I got to see.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah. Is that final? My two gripes were,
I guess like
taboo innuendo.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to touch on before we stop talking about Shang-Chi is I really enjoyed the relationship between Shang-Chi and Katie, him and Awkwafina's character. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was refreshing.
It's for sure. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And I think it's kind of into that, you don't see it in films a whole lot with just friendships.
Yes.
But it also confused me because I know they have some exposition in there that's like, oh, we're just friends.
Yeah, when he tells the grandma.
Yeah, but there's also things that hint to like, so I don't know. We'll find out.
I appreciate it because like they could have not included those hints at all, and I would have loved it even more, I think, because you don't really like get that sort of dynamic between a person who's a main character, especially a male main character,
right,
who has like a female best friend, and that they're just friends throughout the movie. Like you don't really get that much anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Like you have like
I agree.
Movies almost feel forced to have a love interest of some kind.
It will just shoehorn them in there.
Yeah.
And I guess my gripe is they had the friendship angle going, but they also left it open to maybe they do get together.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm like, as like for me, I'm like, don't have it like that. Like, don't.
Right.
And I might be like, but I thought towards the end of the film there were a couple things where they kind of showed like some like touching of the shoulder, or like, gently touching the hands. I don't remember exactly.
They don't even kiss though. They don't even kiss like at all.
No, they don't.
Just,
well,
like,
you don't have. I'm just saying, like,
it's just like the closeness, like the bond that they have.
No, my point being is like, so this movie ends, right, and then Shang-Chi, it said they get another one out, and then all of a sudden it turns into it's kind of their relationship breaking because they feel stronger for each other, and it's only because when this one came out, they asked a bunch of people, hey, do you think that they should get together? And they all say yes, so they just go in there and write it. Now, I don't know if Marvel's like that, but I'm saying it annoyed me that as the film left that venue open to see, all right, next week when we come out with the next film, should we make them get together or keep the friendship the same?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So that's what annoyed me about it just a little bit, because you're watching it, it's like, all right, they don't really do anything, but there's subtle hints here and there of, hey, maybe we do like each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, come on.
If they just kept them like just friends, I would enjoy it even more.
I would too. I would like almost like them to just be like, this is how it is.
Yeah. And be more definitive about it.
Yeah, and I could be off. It just I work off Kyle. I work off of chi and energy,
Shang-Chi,
right? And the yin and the yang of the world. And when they were like certain things happen, I was like, they're giving off different energy than they were before.
Yeah.
And it's just, and the world's in danger, so life's about to end, so like, hey, like we might as well buckle up and bump uglies, right? And it's like, all right, like, are you guys doing that because that's how it happened in the comics? Are you doing that because of focus groups?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that maybe, and I don't know. I mean, they might end up doing it, but hey, I like the friendship. I appreciate it, especially with the grandma thing when like he didn't brush it off. He goes, hey, we're just friends.
Yeah.
And then it was like, all right. And I was like, hey, that set the tone right there. Here we go.
Yeah.
And she was funny. I mean, she's funny, and they actually had conversations about more than just Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Him, Awkwafina, and the sister.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot going on. That movie, I thought, did a really good job encompassing, the human element.
Yes. The relationship aspect of film. And also one more thing I wanted to touch on too was I was very surprised that they brought Ben Kingsley back.
Oh my God, he was fantastic. Now, I'd say 75% of his stuff was really funny, and then like 25 was like kind of like Disney-esque.
Yeah,
But I really, dude, made me laugh. Like,
I really liked his character.
Really, up until they got into the car. I think after the car, I was like, all right, I'm kind of done with them. But yeah. You did a great job.
Yeah, I did not.
Shout out Ben Kingsley.
I did not expect that movie to have a Dinkelhoff in it. Do you want me to explain to you what a Dinkelhoff is, Mac?
Listen, if you're insulting me, I can go right now.
I am not insulting you. This is a term that is not real, that my friends and I have made up.
Like roller cop. I can't even say it.
Rafflecopter?
Rafflecopter.
Even more made up than that.
Okay.
It's very like my friend group specific of a term.
So more niche than niche.
Yes.
Okay.
To get extra hipster with you. So
people are gonna relate.
Okay. Basically, what we did was we came up with the term Dinkelhoff, and Dinkelhoff is a character in a movie. It mostly applies to animated movies or like kids movies, but it's a character in a movie that is its sole purpose in the movie is to be this kind of like cutesy, sort of like funny, like animal character that is small, that like tags along with like the main characters, that is only there to serve like they like get into like a lot of slapstick, a lot of like
provides comfort and levity in moments that you would think are very suspenseful,
like
or trepidatious.
Yes. So some good examples of Dinkelhoffs are like the squirrel in the Ice Age movies, or the chicken, or like the rooster in Moana.
Yes.
The minions in Despicable Me before they became the main characters of those movies.
Yes.
The penguins in Madagascar. Or not even the penguins, maybe, like King Julian.
I don't know if I agree with all that, but
yeah.
Yes.
Like those types of characters.
Yeah.
And that was basically Morris in Shang-Chi.
Oh my God.
The little ball of fur with like the wings that didn't have a face.
I mean, and I like him up to it. The only one that really annoyed me was when they had the cutscene when there was a lot of death and destruction. And I was like, all right, come on.
And he goes up to Ben Kingsley and he's like,
come on, Disney. Like, they were like, hey, we got some 11-year-olds watching this. Hey, can we tone it down a bit? The guy's like, fine.
Yeah.
I'll put him in.
We're like, we got to put this Dinkelhoff in the movie.
Yeah.
So now you know a new term. It's a Dinkelhoff.
2 new terms. Well, I know 1 new term and how to say another term.
Yeah. We got to get through the pronunciation of Rafflecopter before you can even apply it to real life.
I'll get it down. Don't worry about that. I'll get it down.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make it a thing. People are going to Rafflecopter everywhere, and I hope that's in a good light.
That might be a little gross. So I think we're good to stop talking about Shang-Chi.
Let's do it, because I watched Manhunter yesterday.
Totally it's super fresh.
Fresh. And, like, boy, different memories.
Okay.
But new thoughts.
Do you want to give a quick summary of the movie?
Oh, God,
Since
yeah.
it's your recommendation.
Manhunter is based on the book Red Dragon by, I didn't catch the guy's name. I don't know if you did either.
Nope.
Okay. So we have Will Graham. All right. He's played by William Peterson, right? And Will Graham has been out of the game for a while, and he gets tasked to help capture a serial killer in Atlanta. Now, they kind of float between Atlanta and Birmingham and some different areas, and this guy's killed 9 guys. So he's back into it. He's back into the game, and he starts out telling his wife, hey, I'm only doing evidence, baby. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I'll be all right. And then the story unfolds, and you start to learn a little bit more about Will and about what he's doing. And, and that's it. And it's just catching a serial killer and watching it. I mean, I don't think there's much more that you can get into. I mean, with the summary, because, like, that's it, There's a couple, you get Hannibal Lecters in the film, right?
Yep, before he was portrayed by Anthony Hopkins.
Yep, Brian Cox plays him in this one. And it's that's it. And it's him on it's a cat and mouse movie, except, so I had seen it. You haven't seen it. You have now.
I have now. I hadn't seen it before you recommended it.
So the first thing that the movie, I think, is trying to do with Michael Mann, did you feel cat and mouse?
I felt a little bit of cat and mouse, I guess.
Right.
It's just you never I didn't like feel like necessarily a sense of cat and mouse. To me, it was more like, just like it reminded me a lot of, and I guess like the story connection too, but just like kind of how Silence of the Lambs is like kind of just like a countdown in a way. Like to me, it just reminded more of like a ticking time bomb than like a cat and mouse sort of thing.
Really?
Yeah, because I never got the sense that the mouse was trying to get away. To me, it was more like the cat was just trying to find where the mouse was, and the mouse just didn't know that the cat was coming after him.
Oh, you let him astray. You get about halfway through the film. I mean, they'd set up that trap, and
yeah.
Yeah,
that's like...
And he knows that Will Graham's on his trail now.
I guess that's true, but like, I don't know. Like after
I'm with you, though, on the countdown part, too, because the dude's he's losing it.
He's losing it, yeah. And... Yeah. Now that you say that, I guess, yeah, I do remember that scene with the reporter.
Yeah.
And, like, him getting taken in and everything. Spoilers for Manhunter, by the way. But...
I mean, we're just going to talk about it. So, I mean, check it out if you haven't seen it. You can rent it on... I rented it on YouTube for $4. I don't have Amazon Prime, so I was like, does YouTube have it? And they did. $4.
Usually they do. But after that scene where he... has the reporter and like he does all that stuff with him, he's kind of like, all right, now I can just kind of do my own thing again, and that's that. Like it just kind of felt.
No, he goes back. He's gonna do what he's gonna do, but he says that he's gonna go to like Will Graham's place. Like he gets like Hannibal Lecter in with it to mess with Graham.
Yeah,
so. I mean, and I'm not saying it is because it is a ticket.
I guess, yeah. I'm just kind of remembering stuff now that you mention it. And, I mean, it's only been like a few days since I've seen the movie, but there's a lot that I don't, remember.
So you watch it, and it's definitely 80s.
It feels like a dream.
That's so
a lot of those scenes.
Well, it's supposed to, right? Like, so.
Like, especially the scenes where he's with his wife and his kid.
Oh, my God.
They feel like a dream. And like in a good way, like visually, like it's got some great shots. The music feels very spacey, almost kind of like this sort of space exploration sci-fi in a way. And it just feels not based in reality, but in like a good way. Like it almost feels like he's in like some form of heaven that he's reached.
Should be. I mean, after what he's gone through. And it's kind of funny that you say that too, because then you think back on it, it's like, oh, maybe that's why he was depicting him this way. So that way you feel that, and then you start to see the character unraveling.
Thomas Harris was the author, by the way.
Oh, awesome.
Yep.
Shout out Thomas Harris.
Scenes with his wife, they felt really dreamy. They felt like a lot of the shots in this movie were just consistently good.
Right.
And the cinematography and everything and like the colors, like I looked up a poster for this movie, and it's the one that is like mostly blue, and it's kind of got that like shadowy figure on the bottom with like the door open and the light coming in, and then it's got like Will at the top, like his head is just kind of there like looking down. And it like very rarely do you get a poster for a movie that very so much resonates with like what the movie is going to be visually.
So 80s.
It's very 80s, and it works very well with the tone that the movie sets, with like the music and like the imagery and everything. Like it's very well done. I don't think there was a moment in the movie where I thought, yeah, the cinematography here is like really bland. Like that moment never crossed my mind. Like almost every shot was unique to me.
The ending was, he goes into there's a couple slow motion scenes in the ending. Like definitely, when you have, hey, every option's free. So you just select every option because it's like, it's free, but does it really fit?
Yeah.
Like, are you going to use that? Like free pair of, sandals, whatever. Like, are you going to really wear those? Like, yeah, but it's free.
There were moments where like some of the style, like the camera style was a little like,
oh my God, some of the editing. So I've watched this for the first time 4 years ago, right? And I was like, man, that's really cool. I really liked it. And thrillers, I've kind of learned, and suspenseful movies, like you get the one shot, because the second time you watch it, It's all played out.
Yeah.
There's no really suspense, which is the main drive, right? So you take that out, you better have some like good characters, which I liked Will Graham, but they go for this like weird thing with him with the character unraveling, but they shoehorn it in there so fast.
Yeah.
Like he, you know, the guy comes in there, hey Jack, or hey Will, I need you to do this. He goes, Jack, I told you I'm out. He goes, come on, he's done this. He goes, all right, I'll just look at evidence, right? And then you can kind of see how he's getting back into it. And then he's got to meet Lecter, right? And he gets there and he meets Lecter, and Lecter freaks him out, I guess, you know, and he starts running down this spiral stairs. And I was like, that's kind of ham-fisted. You know, I was like, all right, I get it. Like, his world's kind of spinning, right? And then...
Did he have to run that far?
Oh, my God. Did you...
He ran very far.
He ran. They showed him... I don't know who thought that was a good idea. When they were like, let's set the camera up at the entrance.
Yeah.
And watch him run down 3 flights of, like, what is, like, handicap ramps.
Like, they couldn't have had him, like, just cut to the exit door and just, like, cut all that stuff out.
Right. Like, get creative. Like, someone was like, what do you want to do here, boss? He's like, nah, just fucking film it.
Yeah.
You know, like, that was one. And then some of the shots were kind of like some of the slow motion stuff, some of the edits. There was a couple edits that are choppy.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. That's why I was like, you know, I thought the music and the visuals. Michael Mann is so good with visuals and music. You know.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. But in terms of the character, I mean, so Lecter drops a, you know, you're just like me. Right? And not to give anything away, but towards the end. So do you remember the beginning with remember how he takes the victims, you know, he gets out in the backyard?
Yeah.
Remember that? The ending of it, who's in the backyard? Will Graham.
Yeah.
Will Graham's back there. So I was like, they take the whole thing, and it went from the serial killer hunting the victims to Will Graham.
Yeah. The scene where he like runs through the yard and like jumps through the window.
That's what I was talking about with like the option. All right, one, you know, no offense, you got a fucking gun. Like, who shoulder charges a glass pit? He literally goes, not today, and like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like what really got me in that scene was like, so he's got the blind woman in his living room.
Yeah. Just
kind of like held captive, but he doesn't like tie her up. He doesn't like do anything to restrain her, and like she's blind, so she can't see anything, but like she can feel around to like where she is and like maybe hear how far away he is. She didn't like want to feel around for like a knife or like a weapon or something to use against him.
I mean, I'm not gonna hold it against her. Kind of freaked out, you know. This guy comes back. You were just making love the night before, and I was like, I'm gonna kill you. Like, a lot going on with her.
Yeah,
and you're already down in a sense.
True. But,
I mean, I'm with you. I kind of like, if maybe an irrational moment.
I don't know. Like, how long did he hold her there for? Like, it was a while, right?
It was. No? I mean, maybe no. No. It was like a day. Like they found out.
It was like
No, well, so it was at her place, and then they go back to his place. Now the timeline between that, because everything happens at night, because we're moving to the next full moon. You know.
Right.
I don't know if it was like a 16-hour gig or like a 3-hour gig. Like, right. I don't know how far from her place to his place it is. You know, so I'm not going to hold it. She's blind, man. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against her.
I guess. I was just confused as to why, like, he wouldn't, like, tie her up, I guess.
She's blind. I mean,
she's blind, but, like, she can still try to, like, fight him and, like, run around and stuff.
I don't mean to, you know, if you're blind, I'm sorry. But how freaking coy do you think a blind person could be reaching for a knife?
I don't know. There were many times where he just leaves the room, and he's just not there.
Yeah,
like she couldn't like hear for him to leave the room.
But I mean, she's blind. It's not. I mean, you can. I don't know. She's blind. You know, like where's she gonna? You can feel around, but like, dude, like, let me. You want to do? We can do an experiment next time. We're at random spot. I'm wrapping the eyes around, and I'm gonna turn off the lights and be like, all right,
We'll do the Manhunter experiment.
yeah, let's figure it out, and we'll clock. We'll put up a knife somewhere, or not a knife, like a pen, or
something that we can't hurt ourselves with.
That has the same spatial volume that a knife would have. All right, and then it's like, go.
Okay. We'll have to conduct that one day.
Yeah, because I'd like to see how long it would take. And granted, we don't know, one, if it was like a 3-hour gig, she might only have like 20 minutes. And I don't know where he went. It's not like he wasn't leaving the house going anywhere.
No, but he was just going into like different rooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And just kind of like, very much like toying with her in a way. Because like he knew that she was blind, so obviously.
Oh, dude, he was getting off on that stuff. Like that was his. So I thought it was really. What I liked is after watching Manhunter, this is all on the precipice, I want to say. Kind of along the same lines of FBI psychoanalytical forensics, right? So Manhunter dives into why these guys, what their motives are, like, Ed Kepner, Charles Manson, the co-ed killer, they get into the like BTK. So there was no one really knew. Everyone just said, if you killed people, you were bad. You were inherently bad. And, it started, I don't know if the movement was in the 60s or the 70s. So you're 15, 20 years away from this revelation of how to do stuff. And it's still not like a thing. Like psychoanalytics wasn't like a thing when this movie comes out in 86. So the guy writes the book, and he must have thought it was fascinating that, all right, someone's mind enables them to let them kill and push their motive onto it, right? And you get this dream. He keeps going, he's living in a dream. He's living in a dream. It's his fantasies that he's acting out of whatever happened, and his life that made him kind of the way he was with this stuff. And I was like, it's kind of cool seeing this in 86 for the first time and how it ties into where we're at with the movement on psychoanalytics. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it when I watched it in 17, because I don't think I'd seen Manhunter at the time, right? And then I'm watching it this time, and I was like, man, like, they were just moving. Like, the Atlanta killings, I think were in the 80s with the kids. And that was like the first, at least in Manhunter. See, all this is off Manhunter too. I mean, I could have did more research, but it's kind of, but it's not too far off. I mean, there might have been a bigger budget and more resources committed to psychoanalytics and trying to capture, but like the Atlanta killings were like the first big one trying to make the push into using that in the field to make analysis on who was the killer, right? And that happened in the 80s. So you're talking 6 years after that they make, like, this film comes out and they're touching on it, So I thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't really pick up that the first time I saw it, but this time I was like, man, like, that's kind of cool that they went this route. And that's why it kind of seems so, they talk about motive and all that stuff, why it seemed a little dry and they just had no idea. And there's all these talks about, like, he says it, he sees it in his dreams, and he's really like his fantasies. Like, this is what he, and then, so that was kind of cool. And then I had to look up what Red Dragon was like. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I didn't look it up. I remembered that it was mentioned in the movie, and that it was the original title of the book that it's based on.
So, at least in the Chinese culture, right? It's supposed to bring happiness, prosperity, love, and like fulfillment in your life. And I'm like, oh, like that's
of all that stuff of which he basically has none.
So is he chasing like the Red Dragon? And that's what I was kind of thinking. I was like, that's why it's a cool title, because all right, that's what it represents. And obviously, like, what is this it for Will?
Right.
Do you think that that's like his fulfillment in his life is catching those guys? Because it obviously like deteriorates them. So I thought it was kind of like an ironic title.
Yeah. It's it definitely reminds like describing it. Like, that's basically like the bad guy's motivation though too, right? Like, that's what he wants. He wants prosperity, love, those other two things that you said.
Right.
Like respect. he wants those things, and like that's how he thinks he's going to get them, is by killing all those people, like by
absolving them
and like, forcing them into positions to where like they see him, air quotes, see him.
Oh
and
my God, yeah.
And they view him like in a way that nobody else had at that point.
God.
Yeah, basically. Like, just he wanted respect, he wanted love, and then what's ironic is that when he finally like kind of gets that sort of connection, he gets into his own head about it, and
oh my God, right?
It just falls apart.
How quick was that?
Super quick.
You talk about like, it's kind of funny. The music's like spot on. Obviously, so I had the dialogue box going, and I'm reading this stuff, and I was like, whoa! Like, I forgot exactly what it was. Like, I am serious, or I have more than I can handle. My like emotions are overriding me, and it's all I can do to I don't know, something like, and it's like boom, 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 and then he's just watching them, and it's like. The door lights up, and it's their silhouetted figure, and the guy's like gently caressing her, and like all he's doing in his head is like
just getting torn apart.
Oh my God, like like someone dumped like 50, like him into a sea of 50 piranha.
Yeah.
Like you could just visually see him, like how, and it's all happening.
And then it cuts to her and him at the front of the door, and he's like, oh, you got a hair right here.
Oh my God. And like, so the other funny part about that too, that interaction that they have, like you just have a hair right there. In real life, that's all of 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, his whole montage was like 2 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, he's living this moment that long. It's like a freaking like 2 minute, like eating him alive.
Yeah.
And all of it is like, oh, you had a piece of hair. Hey, have a good night.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so funny. That's the one I was really laughing at. It was like, oh, and the music, dude. And he rips up the vinyl on the hood of his car. I was like, oh my. And then it was over. But what did him in? Finding love.
Yep.
Can you believe that? That's what it got him, man.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a trap.
The thing we seek the most is our undoing. If you're a serial killer.
Yeah. I was about to say. Yeah.
Normally it's just, it doesn't work like that. But if you're a killer,
careful. Don't look. Don't find it.
Don't find it.
Yeah.
What you're looking for, it's not good.
Yeah. So that was. Do you have any thoughts on it? I know I was super juiced, and then I watched it, and I just went like, oh, this is a little bit more 80s than I remember.
No, you're good. It was. It did have that 80s sort of style. So, excuse me. You could tell it was an older movie. You could tell that it was made 40 years ago, which is crazy to think about.
Yes, it is.
I thought that what really was interesting to me, because I've watched Silence of the Lambs before. I've seen that movie before. So
humble brag.
I know a movie I actually have seen that is before the year 2000.
Yeah.
So comparing Anthony Hopkins to Brian Cox in terms of the character of Hannibal Lecter.
Not even, yeah.
It's like, I wouldn't say Brian Cox did a bad job at all.
No.
Like, I wouldn't say his performance was bad, but it's in comparison to Anthony Hopkins just has such a presence on screen with that character, and he makes it so unique.
I think in Silence of the Lambs, I don't want to speak out of my ass, but he doesn't have like that much screen time.
No,
right?
he
doesn't. Like 7 minutes, right?
It's very minimal. Like, he has a very small amount of screen time.
That iconic of a character,
but
how
like
on it is.
Like, they probably have like the same amount of screen time in Manhunter and Silence of the Lambs, and it feels like Anthony Hopkins has like such a bigger impact on the overall world of Silence of the Lambs than he does in Manhunter. Are you looking up the screen time?
Yeah, I was trying to see his. I don't know. They don't really. Hold on, Anthony.
Was it? I think I heard too that it was like 7 minutes or something like that.
Well, that's what 13
minutes.
Oh, 24 minutes.
24 minutes?
Yeah,
but Silence of the Lambs.
The movie's an hour the movie's an hour 20 minutes long, so let's say it's 20 out of 80, which is 1/8. No, 1/4. So he's in 25% of the film.
That's a decent chunk, though. That's a more decent chunk than I thought. Like, 1/4 is way bigger than like what did we
Brian
think?
Cox. That's what I was gonna say. No, I don't know how long. Like, I don't know. I didn't know how long Anthony was in it too. But Brian Cox was in it for 6 minutes, probably.
Yeah,
10 minutes. He had the exchange with Will Graham.
Now that we know, in comparison to Anthony Hopkins, it's considerably smaller, screen time wise.
But I mean,
but still,
and I'm just to defend that. But I mean, like, if you took one of, like, really, all you have to do is take Hopkins' iconic scene with,
Jodie Foster.
Yeah. All right. Like, that's you take that and hold it up to Brian Cox. Like, let's just say that's all you get. Anthony, this is all we can put in the film. Like,
yes.
You're still gonna be sitting here, But we'd probably say, man, he was in that movie 24 minutes. And we look at him, it's like, oh, he's only in it for 8 minutes.
But, yeah, I completely agree with you. Even if it had, like, the same amount of runtime. Because Brian Cox, like I said, he didn't do a bad job. But it definitely just kind of, like, he didn't, like, steal the show or anything. It was just, he very much was, like, a side character.
Yeah.
And
he was,
not to complain about, like, his portrayal about it or anything.
Serviceable, man. He was
serviceable.
Like, you got, hey, Brian, you get 6 minutes. Don't F it up.
Yeah.
Right?
And, like, it's almost kind of unfair when you compare him to Anthony Hopkins, because obviously Brian Cox portrayed him before, and they didn't know, like, that character was going to be such an iconic film character.
You're not guessing that.
You're not guessing that. So, I mean, like, to compare them is kind of unfair, but also it's very hard not to compare them, because you have those two different portrayals.
So, I mean, I'm watching it. I'm watching him this time around, and I was like, he doesn't do. He's kind of creepy. He's kind of weird. He does a good job when he's on the phone. I liked it when his phone scene when he had to get Will Graham's address.
Yeah.
I like that. That was a little bit more of a Hannibal Lecter feel.
Yeah.
Like persuading people into doing something. Not only that, but I was like, kind of crazy that in the 80s, that's all it took. Mm-hmm. That's like uncomfortable.
Yeah. The first scene with him, like, you kind of have this feeling that, like, okay, Hannibal Lecter has, like, this big influence on Will Graham as a character, and like kind of affects, like, his emotional state, his, like, mental well-being.
Will Graham's the left, like, if that was his brain, like, Anthony Hopkins was a reflection of him. Like, if Anthony Hopkins, Brian Cox, Hannibal Lecter was a reflection of him. Like, if you were like, if it came out in the film that Lecter wasn't real, like, I'd be like, it doesn't shock me.
Right.
Like, it was like a projection almost of what Will Graham could have been.
Yeah. And, like, you get the sense that, like, okay, Hannibal Lecter in this movie is, like, he's creepy. He's, like, just not a good dude. But you don't really get the sense that, like, okay, this is somebody that, like, can really, like, get in your head. This is somebody who can, like, slither his way into your psyche and affect how you live your life, basically. Whereas, like, Anthony Hopkins, his character portrayal absolutely has that effect, and you can believe it when you see it performed on screen. Brian Cox just kind of felt, not like, it almost kind of felt like a Criminal Minds serial killer in a way.
Yeah.
Like, kind of...
Well, it's cartoony, a little bit.
A little bit, but, like, just kind of that sort of generic, like, serial killer portrayal on, like, a movie or a TV show.
Yeah, like, I'm telling you, too, remember, I mean, like, in 86, it's not like... I mean, I don't know how many movies were coming out about serial killers before 86.
Right.
So that's the other thing, too, that I was kind of, like, it's fun to think about, is that we're 40 years later... We've seen so much film on it. But you put yourself back in 1986 when that movie comes out. I mean, how many, movies were about serial, like, actual, I'm chasing a killer, not like Michael Myers is a serial killer, I guess. But I'm not talking like that. Like, how many movies are actually on, like, we got to get this guy because he's killed I'd be kind of curious to look that up because I was just thinking. I mean, it's for when that movie came out. I think it was like a big time Michael Mann. We're taking on this project. This is something new, kind of like a modern revelation. You know, just because like I don't think there was the movement started I think in the 60s. So I mean, if you talk like maybe 20, 25 years after that became like a thing, like not even, hey, we just dusted off a book. Let's look back to this. Like the guy that started psychoanalytics with FBI, like from the ground up. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you're talking 25 years that's how many years we're in the field. So I'm not defending Brian Cox too much here, Matt, because I do agree with you. It's pretty cartoony, but at the same, like, I don't know if he really had a character to go off of.
Right.
You know? Now, since he's ground zero, I feel bad for him because now we can just be like, man, he fucking sucks. But
I wouldn't say that he sucks, you know.
He was good. I mean, like I'd say, I thought he was
he was serviceable. You know, it's not like his performance was bad at all, because like if it was, it would have distracted me.
Would you have swallowed, like, you think he would have made you swallow your own tongue? Like if you walked in there and had like 10 minutes with him?
No.
Okay.
It almost like, it kind of feels like that show Scared Straight, where like the prisoners, like they yell at all the kids and try to
real show.
Yeah, they try to like verbally beat into them like how bad prison is and like how bad drugs are, and like you need to behave, you need to straighten up, or else you're gonna end up like me, that sort of thing.
That was it. When was that? That was a real show?
Yeah, that was a real show. That was like,
where are those kids at now?
I don't know. That was like 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was on the Discovery Channel, I think.
I'm curious.
You never heard of that show?
Scared Straight.
Scared Straight.
I want to see where those kids
There
are
was
at.
Scared Straight, and then there was Beyond Scared Straight, where they got even like more into like the prison life of
because those kids they brought
inmates.
back, they're like, oh, you're doing weed now. This is what happens. Like, we got to show you the next level.
So, back to my point.
Yeah.
Brian Cox kind of felt like if he was an inmate of Scared Straight, where like he'll like get in your face and he'll like yell at you about like trying to like behave and stuff. Anthony Hopkins, he will straight up stab you.
Well, I mean, like if
you're in the same room as him.
Well, I was saying,
like he will actually kill you
Silence of
to
the
teach you a
Lambs,
lesson.
like, he made that guy swallow his tongue. Remember the guy that talks to Clarissa and he's like, he says something like, how did those panties smell or something like that, and she goes back the next day and like the guy, he's like made him swallow his tongue or something like that. And I was like, you know, that was the depth of the Hawk.
Yeah, and it helps that you actually see him. Like you get examples of him being this sort of like crazy, like unhinged serial killer dude who's got like manners and refined taste. Whereas like, even if you didn't get that though, I think Anthony Hopkins' performance, you kind of get that from his mannerisms.
It's iconic, man. Like you can't, you talk about an iconic performance. It's that for a reason.
Yeah.
I just think, oh my God, Brian, it just, not male then, but that's, here you go. The character development in that movie, like none.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a whole lot of, it was super dry. It was kind of like it's more centered on what he's doing rather than who he is. And they try to give you some of it with like what's happened in his past. But I was like, they didn't. I felt for Will Graham, but never once I feel he was in danger, family was in danger, and they do a couple cute things where they try to play tricks on you with what the killers are gonna do. But I never got that, and I think that just I just think that goes to poor character development. But the movie itself, I really liked how the movie went. It comes, it goes, and just having the thoughts about where it was at with psychoanalytics and catching a serial killer, because it's really, I think, one of the first films doing it. I'm sure there are other ones, but I don't know if they take it to the approach of what Will Graham was doing.
Right. So overall, I would say the movie's good. Like, I'm glad I watched it.
Good. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Probably not as iconic as like something like Silence of the Lambs or it's like movies of a similar genre that have kind of like made names for themselves. Like when I think Michael Mann, the first thing that comes to my mind is Collateral or Heat.
Right.
And this is definitely like an older movie, like an early piece of his work, but I would say it stands on its own two legs, and I could definitely see myself watching this again, maybe in like a couple years or something like that.
Yeah. Maybe
Just to revisit it.
Hey, throw it in the wheelhouse, man. That's what I was kind of going for. You don't need to everything doesn't need to be Oscar related.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a fun one. There's plenty of fun ones out there. So I wanted to, and I'm glad I got your thoughts, and I'm glad we did it because I got to watch it again. You know, so I didn't go off of a memory like I did with Only God Forgives. So.
Yep, great visuals, good acting for the most part, great soundtrack.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Absolutely, you weren't kidding about that. Overall, thank you for recommending it.
Yeah.
I had a good time. My roommate walked in during the one sex scene that was in the movie.
Well, hold on. I thought there were. So was it with
It was with the blind girl.
Yeah, that's a weird one where I don't know. I don't even know what they were doing because.
It's like, yeah, and it's like a tame scene, you know. You don't see anything.
Well, so she goes, so she's kind of like, there's things happening, okay?
Yeah.
All right, you pervs. And she goes, that's allowed. And I was like, all right, what's going on here? And then the next shot is she's like sucking on his neck.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, like and I know where all of you thought I was going. All right,
and it's like so that scene goes on. It's not even that long of a scene, right? It's like 45 seconds a minute, right?
It's just there's a lot of intimacy involved. I don't know if they, and I'm sure it's alluded to, but like I like seeing it. They didn't. She was kissing on his neck. Like I don't know if that was like after things had happened or
right.
It's an intimate scene. If you walk in, I'm with you.
And so like my roommate walks in and he's like, "Whoa, what are you watching?" And like that's like the third time that's happened here.
I think
it's like I'm watching a movie and then like
it's a trap.
Most of it is like perfectly fine, and then a sex scene comes up, and then my roommate walks in. He's like, "Whoa, you're a weirdo."
Wow, you know, in terms of like, come on, that is so soft. Like, it's
I know it's not even like
happening. Like, I was like, I don't know if
it's not even that explicit of a scene.
Are they shagging? Like, there are worse ones that you could definitely get. Wait till you watch "I Love You, Philip Morris."
Oh no, dude,
have you seen it?
No, but it happened while I was watching Under the Silver Lake.
Gratuitous sex scene?
Very gratuitous.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
And he walked in on that and he was like, "Whoa, what do you watch?" It like, bruh, you only like, how do you only manage to walk in?
Well, I mean, that's
while that scene's going on,
or, you know, but do a boner check. Like you stand up, you go, "Dude, I'm clean." You know, that's the one where if you got to prove something. You know, you stand up like, "Listen, man, like I'm good."
Me watching it in the living room during the day is not enough.
Curtains open or closed?
Well, I mean, I don't want the glare.
All right. All right. I mean, you're checking some of the boxes. All right. I'm just saying, I'm walking in, I'm doing more math now.
Okay.
You know?
There's not that much math to do, just awkward happenstance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I do the boner check system. You walk in, gratuitous sex ain't happening. I'm not a perv. Check it out. All right?
I'll prove it to you.
And the nice thing is, if you do, make them call your bluff.
Yeah.
You know?
I'll have to try that strategy for next time. Max life lessons.
Boner check. Jesus.
Yeah. Well, so we're we're running a little longer now than the first episode. Do you want to save the questions that we had for next one?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I was about to say because that one I think it even lends itself. Maybe we do a film. We hit the questions. I don't know how long the questions would take. I am interested in to see.
Okay. Well, we'll just save the questions that we had for this episode for next episode, because we had. I told Mac beforehand to think of a question that he was going to ask me. I had a question that I was going to ask him, and then that would lead into kind of a discussion just in case, you know, we needed more time to talk about something. Obviously, that wasn't the case because we're running over 2 hours again.
Yeah.
So we'll just save it for episode 3. But one last thing before we go is I get to make a film pick, which I think is, you know, I think we should call it like a film pick, right? Instead of like a movie recommendation, kind of differentiate it.
You have to see it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not a recommendation. Like I didn't recommend. Like you got to watch, man.
Yeah.
You know
get like we're going to watch this movie for the next episode.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I like to get more of like, you know. So let's do. we'll talk about it. I would like to have something, the coin toss every week. Because if you run like 4 straight, like it's 50-50
if you win
odds,
4 times in a row.
I'm just saying, like, hey, every week you call it, right? And if you win, you get to pick. If you don't, the other guy gets to pick. That way, I mean, I do like the flip-flop, but I also kind of like the intrigue of like, all right, because maybe I got another film lined up, and I'm like itching,
Yeah, yeah.
And then it sets something
But then
up,
you got to wait for the next week.
Yeah, you're like,
that's
God
the thing.
bless him.
Because, like, it makes it so that it's even, right? If we do the coin toss every week, and, like,
It's
I guarantee you...
50-50.
I know, but if I win 4 times in a row, I'm going to make us watch Alvin and the Chipmunks each time.
Whoa. So that's what I'm watching?
If we're doing the coin toss. But we're not doing the coin toss, so I'm not doing that.
I like the movie pick. I think we'll try to figure out something. Either that or we add a little extra onto it. Either that we cut down, we get 3 films in, you cut it down to like 25 apiece. We're beating these films across the head. I love it. All right? Because I could keep going on about Manhunter 2, but I'm saving it.
Yeah.
All right? So let's do...
we got to quench our thirst, so to speak.
Yeah. All right. Lay it on me. Let's hear...
All right.
You have the film pick. I'm going to watch this film, and then in 2 weeks, when Ep 3 drops, I will talk about...
You're going to talk about this movie that I picked. So, I had 2... different choices that I was juggling between, right?
Yeah.
And I almost picked this. I won't say the name of it, but I almost picked a movie.
How am I going to watch it if you don't tell me?
Well, I'll tell you. Just give me a second.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I'm explaining to you the one that I almost picked, but haven't.
Should I try to guess it?
No.
Okay.
I'll probably choose it eventually.
I'll give it away.
So between like a movie that is more well regarded and then a movie that is very obviously not going to be the highest quality movie. And I chose the latter because I feel like we've been talking about movies that are like worth seeing, things that are like you could like, besides Only God Forgives, things that you could like tell people to watch and they'll have a good time with, right?
Maybe. Manhunter's like, I like the popcorn picks, from the years where it's like kind of, then I know what you're saying. Like you want to get into the indie, like, hey, like lesser known, kind of under the rug. Let's talk about some creative.
No, not
just,
for this one.
Just bad.
Yeah. Like this one,
you want to rip on a film.
I want to absolutely sink my teeth into something and tear it apart.
See, you're a writer, so like, because it's funny because I listen to a podcast and the guy's a director, so every time he goes, I hate talking bad about films because he's a director, so he knows everything that goes into it. But I think that's where the writers come in, and the writers like don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
like I wrote my heart. And you destroyed it. So I like that, you get into because like I'm kind of with the guy. I'm like, I don't want to break into it, but you have a totally different perspective than I have. So I'd like, drop it.
I want to beat this film to death.
Whoa.
I want to get it out of the way.
All right.
And I want to stomp its teeth into the ground like American History X style.
Get in visual.
So I am going to pick for this film pick for next episode.
Yep.
You and I are going to talk about Gemini Man.
Wow. How much did he pay you? For everyone, we'll dish it out next time. That's a shout out. That's a shout out to our boy. You know who you are.
Yep.
All right. He got us 3 of our followers on Twitter. We promised him a film.
Yep.
But
this is me cashing it out right now.
Yeah, it's a good call. I'll know if he's listening to this thing. I'll know if he gets to the end of it. We'll get a text. I'm excited.
Gemini Man with Will Smith, also starring Will Smith. It's going to be great. Yeah. We're going to have a good time. Neither of us have seen the movie before.
No, that'll be kind of exhilarating. Yeah, that's a well done pick.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's I kind of, yeah, so awesome.
Yeah, my next pick will be a little more of something along the lines of enjoyable.
No, I'm cool with, whatever you want. We need to tear it apart. We need to preach it up. There's some films out there that are lesser known that I think like are outstanding. That it's like, hey, let's talk about that, And I think what I'm learning now is we just like talking about film, and we're just gonna talk. I mean, if you some of you guys might not even watch Manhunter ever. Like, you're like, pass. But you can at least listen to this and get a feel for what it's like. And then if you're actually curious as to our thoughts and opinions on it, pop it on. You kind of know what's happening, I guess, but you'll have the sense you'll be able to relate. If not, check it out. And then when you're listening to this part now, you have already had seen it. And I will thank you for doing that, right?
Yeah.
Is that how time works?
That's how time works,
Okay.
right? We'll have to ask Christopher Nolan. He's the time master.
I was thinking Doctor Strange, but
yeah.
whatever.
No. I was thinking of someone that we can actually talk to.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure. Shout out Chris Nolan.
Yeah, dude. Shout out Chris Nolan.
Follow us.
Yeah.
So you got the what's the sign off? Where do we got? Where do you guys go? Where does everyone got to check this out at? Where do we do? So Gemini Man, and then.
Yep. So next episode we'll be watching Gemini Man. So be sure to watch that movie before we talk about it, so that you're not spoiled for anything. You can find us on YouTube, the Neon Crew Podcast. If you search that, it'll be one of the first results. You can also find us on Spotify, the Neon Crew Podcast on there. And hopefully in the future, we'll have a website where we can post all of our episodes there, so that we can just rely on our own sort of homepage and kind of get like a place established for maybe if we eventually want to do merchandise or something like that, where we can like have a community. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll get something, man. Ep 2 in the books, Ep 3 coming up, Ep 4 in the hole. Like,
Yep.
We'll get it going. We'll get this stuff hooked up. We're just excited about getting you guys talking with us, because I'm gonna tell you right now, Gemini Man recommended through a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I've had since we've gotten this going, I've had a lot of friends tell me about different films to check out. I've had a guy I hadn't talked to and since like college, a good friend, a college friend of mine, and I hadn't talked to him. He recommended me a film. He's like, "Hey, saw you doing, like, you should check that." And I was like, "I love this. Like, I gotta get a list going of like, all right, because I want to do that. Like, hey, let's check out this film. Let's see this and that."
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys got recommendations, like you said, I mean, where else are we? We got Twitter.
We have a Twitter. It's very small right now, but we also have a Facebook page that's a little more considerably sized. We just reached 100 followers yesterday.
Hey.
So that's exciting. I'm really happy about that. So hopefully we can get those numbers up and get a few more people listening to us. And thank you for the people who have listened to us so far. Really appreciate it. And you guys, the ones that we talk to in our lives that give us the feedback, you make this all warm and nice for us. So, yeah. Any final words, I guess?
Oh, this is Mac. Hey, remember, WWTHD.
What would Tom Hardy do? All right. That is it for episode 2 of this podcast. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.